Good evening. The board will now reconvene in open session. The time is 6 o'clock. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us tonight. And at this time, I would respectfully ask you to turn off the sound of your cell phones. Make me think about mine as well. All right, may I remind anyone wishing to address the board that they must have completed a public comment card before the start of the public portion of tonight's meeting, indicating the agenda item or topic about which they wish to speak. As your Board of Trustees, we're here to set goals for the district, listen to reports presented by the superintendent and his designees, approve and review the budget, approve certain personnel appointments and contracts, and make policy for the district. Management is the responsibility of the superintendent. It is the board's responsibility to govern the affairs of the district and ensure that the district is moving forward in meeting the vision and goals that are set on an annual basis. Meeting times for board meetings are posted on the AISD website at www.abileneisd.org, and the public is invited to attend. At this time, Ms. Kimberly Brumley, Executive Director for Federal Programs and District Planning, will lead us in our invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance to our flags. Welcome, Kimberly.
Good evening, Mr. Zeller, Dr. Kuhn, trustees. If you'd all bow your heads, we'll open with a prayer. Heavenly Father, as we gather tonight, we praise you for the gift of your creation, both for the sunshine of today and the rain that has nourished the earth recently. We praise you for the talent and opportunity you've drawn to Abilene ISD and for the responsibility we share to make sure we are wise stewards of these resources. We ask your blessing on the students, staff, and community members present tonight, and especially on our trustees. Give them equal parts curiosity and discernment as they make decisions to guide the district. In your name we pray. Amen. If you'd all please stand and join me in the pledges to our flags. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Ms. Brumley. We will now move to item C, Board Superintendent Announcements. And tonight is Dr. Kuhn's first regular board meeting, so I hope you all will welcome him, and if you get a chance to meet him, I encourage you to do so. So welcome and take it away.
Well, I've got a few announcements tonight. The first one is this is Teacher Appreciation Week, and there are all kinds of events going on around the school district to honor and appreciate our teachers, so you may have seen some of those things on Facebook. Also, on a personal note, I want to let you know tonight will be my first night in my new home in Abilene, Texas, so I'm excited about that. Several important dates coming up. May 7th, we have the top 10 announcement at Adams at 8:15 in the morning. It's really a top 10% announcement, so it's about the top 8 students. And then we have the top 25 announcement at Cooper High School at 9:15 and Abilene High School at 10:15. Also want to let you know on May 7th, we have a retiree dinner and also Abilene High School FFA banquet. Those are at 6:30 in the evening. May 9th at 4:30, we have service awards and a retirement reception at Cooper High School. May 10th and 11th, we have playoff baseball in Monahans and playoff softball at Abilene Christian University. May 14th, there's a retirement reception at Hartford. May 15th at 7 p.m., adult ed graduation at Abilene High School. May 17th is a big event in our city. The I Love America program at Dias Elementary is at 9:30 a.m. that day. May 19th at 2 p.m. we have baccalaureate at First Baptist Church. May 21st at 2 p.m. we have the senior walk at our elementary schools, and then at 6 p.m. we have the special education graduation celebration. May 23rd at 10 a.m. the CFI program has a graduation at McMurray University. May 24th, 8 p.m. is Abilene High graduation. May 25th, 8 a.m. is Adams graduation, and May 25th, 8 p.m. is Cooper High School graduation. So a lot going on. Mark your calendars, and I'll see you at some of those events, hopefully.
That it?
That's it.
Awesome. All right, we will now move to item 4, recognitions, and we will begin with item B, our visual arts state competitors. And Mrs. Brady Sloan Duncan will be introducing and recognizing those folks. I think.
We hope.
Is she in the back?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I think.
Doors open.
There you go.
Hello, everyone. I'm Brady Sloan Duncan, and as always, I'm so thrilled to be here to tell you about the amazing accomplishments of our art students and teachers. And this year, we have had so many. Today, I am recognizing high school art students for their acceptance into a statewide art competition. I will be recognizing 2 schools this evening at the same time. The Texas Art Education Association sponsors the Visual Arts Scholastic event every year. The event's mission is to recognize exemplary student achievement in the visual arts by providing art students a program with a standard of excellence in which to achieve. The event is held in person and involves the students showing their artwork and discussing it with a juror. This year, our district boasts 8 students who received the honor of advancing to compete at the statewide event. As you can see in just a moment, their art is being projected on the screens alongside their names. A gold medal indicates an additional achievement received at the event. While you're looking at the images, I would like you to take a moment to think about the time and dedication these students have put into their work. Advanced technical proficiency, coupled with creativity and concept, is what results in artworks of this success and caliber. Similar to athletics, while there may be identification of talent or skill, consistent commitment and effort is what leads to excellence. From Abilene High School, our state competitor was Holly Nolan, and her teacher is Kelly Fuller. From Cooper High School, our state competitors were Sophia Barrasso and Bit Young, taught by Ashley Lawrence, and Evelyn Collier, Jenna Herrera, Malia Hudson, Julia McGallion, and Isis Salazar, taught by Melody Carter. Some of the students tonight had some other fine arts events this evening. All of our outstanding artists did very well at state base. All of the student work that was qualified was assessed by jurors from across the U.S. at the state event. Student artists who received a rating 4, considered exemplary, at the event were awarded a state medallion and are named an All-State Artist by TAEA and VACE. The following students received a state medallion: Julia McGallion, Jenna Herrera, Holly Nolan, and Bit Young. We are so proud of your success, and we hope you never stop creating. I'd also like to give a special thank you to their teachers for the high expectations, time, kindness, care, and skill you put into your practice. We are so thankful for what you give to students and are so proud to have you in AISD. Congratulations to you all.
Sounds good, looks good. There we go. Nice smiles. Sorry. Just trying. 1, 2, 3, and one more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Sorry, can y'all see it? Hang there for just one more second. One more. Thank you.
Don't go, don't go.
All right. Thank you, guys. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you all and congratulations. Next up, I would like to call on Mrs. Lucille Fullen, Director of our CTE program, and share with us our state honorees.
Yes, so Dr. Kuhn, Mr. Zeller, members of the board, thank you for having us tonight. We are here to recognize our CTE students who either ranked, placed at state, or advancing on to nationals. This year we took 201 students to state competition, so obviously more than that to area, district, or region. So these 201 students advanced out of that area. Our first group tonight, let's go ahead and bring them in. I want you to know, our teachers invest so much time, and the students invest time after school to practice their craft and their skills, and I'm just so proud of them and appreciate all of their efforts. First up tonight, we have Adams, Miss Martha Tammany.
Good evening. I am Martha Tammany. I am the AV Production Advisor for Skills USA, and 27 of our students advanced to state this year. The students standing before you are our blue ribbon winners and also our medalists. So I have Kayla Elder here. She is a Superior Blue Ribbon winner in digital illustration. We also have Lee Stutz and Kira Hicks. They were our 2D animation team that was a Superior Blue Ribbon winner. We have Johnny Gwynn, who actually was not able to make it tonight, but he also received a blue ribbon in digital illustration, and he was best of show. He also medaled. He got a bronze medal in graphic communications for technical testing. We also have Isabella Robinson. She was a bronze medalist in advertising design for the technical test. We have Sarah Bartlett. She was a bronze medalist for graphic communication. We have Ella Boisvert. She was our silver medalist in advertising design. She also won a Superior Blue Ribbon in digital illustration. And we also have Benjamin Weems. So Benjamin Weems placed first in advertising design. He will be advancing to nationals, which will be June 24th through 26th in Atlanta, Georgia. So thank you so much for supporting this group. We're hoping to bring home a national medal.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No pressure, Benjamin. Get this chair out of the way.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if y'all scoot in just a little bit. There we go. All right. Nice smiles we have. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Don't move.
Right here, hold those smiles. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, guys.
Good job, you guys.
Yeah, congratulations. Good luck.
So I want to let you parents know that you are welcome to take pictures. So next we have a dynamic technology duo coming in, Roger Hall and Daniel Kaplinski.
Evening, Dr. Kuhn, board. Thank you for the invitation so we can recognize our students. We had 24 total students in Skills USA Technology that went down to Corpus Christi for the state event. We did really well, but we want to recognize, in particular, these students for their accomplishments down there. We had Rylan Dean, Elias Cardoza. They competed in cybersecurity. It's a team event out of 20 teams. They placed third in that event out of 20 teams in the state, and they did pretty fantastic. We also had a fourth place team that's not here tonight, so they did really well too. And then we had Rylan. He also got a silver medalist. In technical testing, he got a silver for cybersecurity in the actual testing of it, so that was pretty good. We also had Christian Nichols, who scored a bronze in cybersecurity technical testing. That was Christian. And then we had Jonas Kaufman, Noah Joins, and Gabriel Bridges. They competed in career pathways in the Business Management and Technology Career Pathway Showcase, and they placed third in that at the state. And so we wanted to recognize them for their accomplishments this evening.
Let's go take a picture. Way to go, you guys. Good job. Way to go, you guys. Congratulations.
Okay. No, we're,
Oh, don't hold on.
yeah, you're good. On three, 1, 2, 3, and one more time. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Stay there.
Okay.
One more.
Sorry. Long time.
Oh, more than one more.
Thank you, guys.
Fantastic job, you guys. Good job.
So next up, we have our Adams Lift robotics teams, and their advisors, Larry Haney, Danae Volk, and Tracy Long.
Pretty popular program.
Yeah. Play the robots.
Good evening. My name is Larry Haney, and I am one of the 4 robotics coaches that we have at Adams. And we just first want to say thank you to the board, thank you to the administration of AISD, and especially our local administration at the Lift. I'm going to tell just a little bit of a story here, and what we did, we couldn't have done alone. It really, truly took a village to pull off what we did this year. So we've done a lot. So our season, robotics season, started 1 year ago. That's when the game was released, and that's when these guys started looking at the game and trying to figure out what they were going to do. When we started school up at the beginning of this year, we had 2 robotics tournaments scheduled, 2 local Region 5 VEX robotics tournaments that we put on. We put on one the middle of November and a second one early February. Again, it took everybody to do that and pull that off. During that time, we received an invitation to put on the Region 5 Texas State Robotics Tournament for VEX Robotics. And we did that, and we put that on in the end of February. Again, taking everybody to pull that off, that was a big deal. And we did it at the Lift. It worked super well. We had lots of compliments on how well it went. In the middle of all that, we had teams that were invited to UIL State Robotics. And so we took a team down to Clear Lake in Houston, 2 teams. Mr. Long's going to talk just a little bit about that in a minute. Make sure I'm not missing anything here. So we went to UIL, and in hosting that tournament, we were fortunate because we didn't have to travel, but we took 2 of our teams through the local tournaments that we did, earned the right to compete at that state tournament that was held at the Lift. So we had 2 teams that competed there. And it was an interesting experience because we found out that Region 5 was a new region that was created just this last year. We were the first year that Region 5 has happened. And they split a larger region up, and we figured, we got this, because we'd been competing for a long time. Guess what they gave us? We had the best robotics teams in the state of Texas, in our region, and probably in most of the United States. We had a team that competed at our tournament that they were first place in what's called skills. They won the world's robotics tournament, and our kids were competing against them. In that tournament, one of our teams placed high enough in skills, so they were competing against this robot, that they received a world's robotics invitation to compete, which we just got back a couple weeks ago from over in Dallas. And so we have been doing a lot. And you can see that we have a level of competition that is just phenomenal in our region, and we have teams that are team members that can they just do a great job. So I wanted you to know just a little bit of the background behind what's going on, and Mr. Long is going to talk to you a little bit more about robotics.
One of the interesting things about our robotics competition is that it also doubles as a UIL competition as well. Our teams did our local contest on Saturday, turned around at 5 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, loaded everything up, and then went down to Clear Lake to actually compete against the best robots, not only in the state, but also, it turns out, in the world at the UIL competition. At the competition for 1 to 3A, which we were a part of the 22 teams that were there, we competed against 11 of them in our local hub competitions. So when we talk about our competition level being extraordinarily high, yeah, the best robots in the state come from Region 5. And we did exceptionally well there. One of my sports heroes, Yogi Berra, is once quoted as saying that losing is like kissing your sister. He was kind of wrong about that. What's really bad is watching two of your teams play in a wild card knockout match against each other to see who gets to go to the quarterfinals. You're looking at it and you're excited at one instance to see who gets to go on. At the same instance, you're like, oh, but this means that I'm going to have to let one person not go on. And so that was kind of what we experienced there. We made it to the quarterfinals. People who compete at the quarterfinals or at the tournament at UIL also qualify for the TILF scholarships, which are anything from $2,000 to $8,000 to actually $16,000 for small school students like our students that they can get for college. And so all of our students who are seniors this year actually qualify for those awards.
Great.
Awesome.
So I will take just a moment to speak to you about Worlds, and then I'll introduce our students. Worlds was a fantastic experience, both for the students and for me. These kids got to interact with, both compete against and interact with students from 40 different countries throughout the world. They had scholarships, they had opportunities presented to them that they can move forward with. They had lots of challenges, but they also had some amazing victories, like when they beat the best team in our division from Shanghai. So that was pretty exciting. They also got to learn and grow as a team through these challenges and difficulties and exciting moments too. Okay, so students, as I say your name, please step forward. I'm going to introduce them one by one and then by team. Javier Butts, Adriana Calvillo, Carson Cooper, Logan Daniel, Cecilia Dieter, Dylan Gentry, Gabe Goff, Elizabeth Harriger, Zizi Havard, Quinn Hudson, Judah Jackson, Carter Kidwell, Reagan Porter, Jose Rico, Peyton Roberts, Abby Shoemate, and Martin Symington. Okay, now will the state UIL championship team step forward?
You're on UIL.
UIL. Okay, let me start this. All right, now the VEX Region 5 state championship teams, step forward. All right. TSA VEX state championship. TSA. Good. And last, our VEX World Championship team.
That's awesome.
Tell us how, we'll be there.
Let's make 2 lines.
Tall people in the back.
Yeah, yeah. Come on, everybody, come on
Tallest
up.
people
We'll
in the
make
back.
it work.
You guys that are taller, go to the back.
What a season you guys had. Congratulations. That's
And
awesome.
then Adriana's the first one back there.
And Javier.
Mr. Haney, we've come a long way since the first robot square competition over at TSTC, and you guys were in the corner of the building, and
Yes, sir.
it's fantastic.
It is great.
Yeah.
What a group of kids. This is awesome.
Okay.
Squeeze in.
Now, stop. There we go. All right, y'all, nice smiles. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Stay there.
Families, if y'all can step up and get your pictures. We'll also post these on our Facebook channel too. If that helps.
Sorry. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, one more. Thank you.
One more.
It's a big group, lots of pictures.
Got one more coming.
Anybody else? One more. Thank
Don't
you,
go
guys.
anywhere.
Thank you.
No, I got him. Thank you. And I got you too.
One more big round of applause. Way to go, you guys. Good job.
These guys have been super busy this year,
Good
as you
job,
can
you guys.
hear. One team that couldn't be here tonight was our cabinet making and millwork team that got a blue ribbon, but their advisor is Forrest Harmel, and those students were Gino Mendoza, Gannon Wade, Isaac Trevino, and Javian Santos. Next up, we have Abilene High, Miss Cindy Easley.
Hi, my name is Cindy Easley. I'm the ag teacher at Abilene High. Just want to say thank you very much for your support of our chapter and our students. We've had a really great year, lots of achievements for all of our students. But today I have Austin Hendrickson. He's a senior. He will be off to Texas A&M in the fall, and he will be majoring in engineering. Lots of accomplishments with this young man. He is currently our president of our local chapter. He has served in the past as our Big Country District president. He currently serves as a Area 4 vice president. And Saturday, he and I will travel to Wichita Falls for the state nominating committee. He is running for state office this year, which is not a lot of students are driven enough or have enough commitment to that to really follow through with that. If Austin is chosen as a state officer, he will, through his freshman year, he will serve in that office and he will serve FFA throughout the state. He will defer the travel team, which means he got one of the Terry scholarships. So if you know A&M, that's a big deal. And so in order to maintain that Terry scholarship, he would defer president or vice president of the state. But really proud of Austin. He's been with me since, except for 1 year, since 7th grade when I taught at Craig. So he will be very missed. So.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
perfect.
good.
Perfect.
All right. All right, nice smiles, y'all. 1, 2, 3, and one more time. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Stay.
One more picture. Good to meet you.
One more, thank you. 1, 2, whoop, sorry, 1 second. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Congratulations. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, good to see you.
Y'all have seen Austin over the years. He's just a phenomenal young man. All right, next up, Abilene High School TPSA, Les Bruce.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Thank you for having us. Dr. Kuhn, thank you. As I do every year, I'm very proud to be here, and I want to tell you, first of all, thank you for your support as a school board. And Dr. Kuhn, I'm going to go ahead and thank you for hopefully all your future support. And thanks to the parents and grandparents that are here tonight. TPSA statewide organization is just getting bigger and bigger, which I'm very proud to say that because we worked really hard to get there and stay there. Back in early March, we went to Crowley, Texas, and competed in the regional competition. Took about 21 students and competed in 11 different events among, I think we were the 12th high school, among about 200 competitors. And there we ended up placing in 7 medals in about 7 events. And there we won, I think, 2 first places, 3 second places, and 2 third place. There, after that, we went to Abilene, Texas, to the big show. We got there amongst about 55 other high schools and almost 800 competitors in the great state of Texas. And before you now, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the winners out of Abilene High's TPSA chapter. To my left right here, we have Natalia Ramos and Elena Lloyd. They competed in an event that's new. It's called Job Exhibit. It's kind of an HR thing to where we're recruiting police type events, police jobs. And they did really well. They did really good in Crowley, and then they went to state and won first place in the state competition. Just want to make a special note that Natalia, is a junior, and young baby over here is a freshman, and they took them to school, and I was really, really proud of them. So good for them. Certainly not second or lastly. To my right is Alexis Taylor. Alexis is the president of our Abilene High's chapter of TPSA. And she's competed in 4 of these things, and she's done very well her entire career. We're going to lose her to San Marcos. She's going to college down there and going to continue her education in law enforcement and law in some form or fashion. But in Crowley, she did really well. Went to Abilene, and again, she won first place in the great state of Texas in the traffic stop event, where she portrays herself as a patrol officer, stops a vehicle in a live police unit, and does our 7-step contact. And I was very, very proud of her also. One last thing, and I'll get out of y'all's hair. I just want to say a big thank you to Ms. Fullen, wherever she sat down at, for her continued support with CTE. And also to my principal, Amy Seibert at Abilene High School. She's always there for my students and for us teachers, whatever we need. So thank you again for having us. We're very, very honored to be here.
Just come right.
Congratulations. Congratulations, girls. That's awesome. First place.
Set a high bar.
State champs.
Yes,
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 but-
Absolutely.
You are
Can
now.
you step out? Can you, tell you what, Ms. Earls, why don't you step out a little bit? No,
You're good.
you stay in. Perfect. Perfect. All right. All right, nice smiles, y'all, on 3. 1, 2, 3, and one more. 1, 2, 3. Stay there.
Any other families? Okay. 3. 1, 2, 3. Make sure. Thank you.
Way to go, you guys. Good job.
Good job. Yeah, thank you. Good job.
Thank y'all. Get my exercise in tonight. Up and down. It's good.
Okay, next up, Abilene High School, Miss Shaylee Robertson and her Taffy students.
Hello, thank you for letting us be here tonight for me to introduce these wonderful kids to y'all. Taffy is Texas Association of Future Educators, so we're trying to bring these kids back here to teach for us, hopefully one day. But I took 46 kids to state this year. The Taffy organization has grown so big, we had 3,500 students competing. So it was a little harder to place this year, which these kids did great. So we had 3 projects with 7 students that qualified for nationals. And the first group I have here is Interactive Bulletin Board Elementary, which is Olivia Cabes and Sarah Richard. And then we had Ethical Dilemma, which is a team effort, and we have Sam Pinson and Ricky Lackey, as well as Malika Costin and Kate Breckenridge, and they couldn't be with us tonight. Then we had public speaking. We had Vivian Dyer, and all of these kids placed for nationals, and we'll be going to Washington, D.C. in June for them to compete in nationals. We also had 6 gold medal winners, 4 silver, and 2 bronze that couldn't be here with us tonight. But I do have Sam Pinson and Ricky Lackey also won silver in Interactive Bulletin Board Elementary. So the last but not least, we have 2 area officers this year, which is Alexa Labenga and Ethan Barrega. And Alexa is our new 2nd vice president, and Ethan will be our secretary. And we will be going at the end of this week to our officer training to prepare for the area competition next year. So thank you for letting us be here and letting us compete in all these fun projects, and our students get a lot out of this competition. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Way to go, you guys. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Good job.
All right. Okay. Nice smiles, y'all. 1, 2, 3, and one more. 1, 2, 3. Stay there.
Thank you. 1, 2, 3. Great, guys. Congratulations.
Way to go. Oh, one more. One more.
Come on up. You can come up. Yeah. Just single you out.
Good job, you guys.
All those 3,500 students hopefully will be teaching in the state of Texas. So from Cooper High School is our next group. Teresa Gates and her student Adrian Dubner could not be here tonight, but tonight we have Cheryl Barber with her Taffy students. And I have to tell you, after 30 years with us, Cheryl's retiring. So this will be her last school board meeting.
Thank you for inviting us tonight. We are excited to be here and share our good news. We had 30 students who advanced to state, and of those 30, we have 6 that advanced to nationals. We have Melissa Granados, who did a shadowing project. We have Jasmine Atwarte, who wrote the cutest little book you'll ever see. Brianna Parson and Caitlin Cook did a research paper about learning disability related to math, and I will not pronounce it because I will mispronounce it, but related to math. And then they presented it to the judges. Bree also advanced in a shadowing project, but because they could only go to nationals in one, she chose to stick with her partner. So she was great. Isabel Casares and Ashlyn Winchester went in bulletin board and won a bronze medal for that. We're excited about that. And then Ridley interviewed in job interview and did so well that the judges awarded him a scholarship.
Oh, wow.
So Judge's Choice Scholarship. So we're proud of all of them. It's great. So do we?
Come on up.
Come on up.
Congratulations, you guys. Wow.
Congratulations on the great job. Job well done. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. You don't need to do that. You're good. Just stand tall. Yep. You got it.
All right.
Okay, we've got to stand like a light.
Well, that's going to be hard. Okay. On 3, y'all. 1, 2, 3, and one more. 1, 2, 3. Stay there. Oh, sorry.
the end of the year, Shirley, you've taken a lot of pictures so far. Got lots of practice in. All right, last one. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Big round of applause for these guys. Way to go, you guys. Congratulations.
So on behalf of CTE, thank you. That was our last group, so we appreciate your time tonight.
Congratulations to you and your whole team. What a year of accomplishment.
All right, this is a good transition time if anybody needs to step out that was watching, so just don't feel bad. So, next up, would like to call on Dr. Ketter Garduno, Associate Superintendent for Academics and Student Supports, and talk about our strategic plan spotlight.
So each quarter we come and share with you a story from the district about an individual or a program or a school that is working on meeting the goals and the vision of our strategic plan. So this quarter we'd like to share with you about Craig Middle School and their ESL and newcomer program. As you can see, our mission, beliefs, and priorities that we have in front of you have some words there that are highlighted, and you're going to see such things as critical thinking and collaboration and problem solving and being actively engaged in the classroom. Well, as we were looking for which program to highlight this month, we visited with Deb Stewart. And Deb started telling us about her newcomer and ESL program at Craig. Now then, realize we do have newcomer centers at both Thomas and Clack as well as Craig, and we serve ESL students throughout the district. And so we are currently serving 1,240 at last count ESL students in our district. But as Deb was sharing about her program and some of the things that are unique and outstanding, here are some of the things that she said. She said that this program brings deep learning and high expectations for students that are just entering the U.S. and the Texas public school system. She said that the teacher in this program has created tools for students to take ownership of their learning, even with great deficits in language. And she emphasized that they use collaboration and problem-solving techniques to help students grow in their social and academic language. So Mrs. Stewart could not be here tonight, but representing Craig and the newcomer program will be both Mrs. Monica Diaz, the assistant principal, and Ms. Pacheco, who is the teacher of the program. Mr. Zemer will show us a video as these two make their way to the front.
Hi, I'm Trish Pacheco. I'm the ESL teacher for Craig Middle School.
I'm Deborah Stewart. I'm the principal here at Craig.
My name is Erica Maldonado Soto, and I am the program officer for AISD.
And it has been a wonderful experience to be a part of the newcomer program here at Craig.
It's a very welcoming environment for our students.
It has grown by leaps and bounds this year.
Probably about 60 newcomers, and that's from Congo, from Mexico, from Guatemala, Venezuela, you name it, we got it. Something really cool about our program is we work closely with the IRC. They visit our school a couple times a week. We have an after-school tutoring program that they come on Tuesdays to work with some of our refugee students.
The coolest thing to watch is Miss Pacheco. She's a seasoned teacher, but this is her first year in handling this class and this program, and she has really embraced it. She does QR codes so that students can scan it and get their native language, as well as the English support to help them around the building.
We also work closely with Darren Cox, who is the foster care and homeless liaison, and we've gotten lots of the kids, some of their needs taken care of, their basic needs.
Having diverse communities, and students on our campus, it just brings a different perspective. And I think that's one of the things I love about Craig is that lines aren't drawn and people just like people for who they are and the journey they've taken.
Hi, so I'm Monica Diaz, and I have Trish, Miss Pacheco. I call her Miss Pacheco at school. Miss Pacheco, she works with, we counted about 35 brand new students to Texas. And so she has an interpreter in class that speaks African languages, and then she uses Google Translate a lot for the Spanish speaking, but then will call on me when she is really needing that help. And then also our program is growing so much that for next year, Ms. Pacheco, her wish has finally come true. She is gaining a partner teacher at Craig Middle School for our newcomer program. So Trish, thank you so much for everything you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, gotta get a picture. You can't.
What a great program.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
All right, folks. Now smile on 3. 1, 2, 3. And one more. 1, 2, 3. Stay there.
Thank you. All right, 1, 2, 3. Thank you, guys.
One more. One more.
Thank you, sorry. Thank you.
Thank y'all so much for everything you do at Craig.
Come on up. I'd like to call on Mrs. Allison Sims, Associate Superintendent for the Development of Human Resources. Welcome, Allison.
Hello. I am excited to share with you. We are come kind of to the end of a season for our Leadership Academy participants this year. We really opened up the options for participants, not just people who want to be assistant principals or principals, but we opened it up to people who are interested in being counselors or just teacher leaders. So we had 29 in our Leadership Academy this year. It was a really great group, and we know that we're going to continue to kind of grow and move with some different kinds of options for these people. They've done kind of level 1, and some of them may go to a level 2 to be more specific and do some shadowing. So if you are a participant in the Leadership Academy, if you'll come up, and then I'm going to call names as we go. So sorry, it's a really large group, but I'm really not sorry because it's exciting that we have that many.
It is exciting.
So as I call your name, if you'll just step forward so they can put a name with a face. And some of them were not able to be here tonight just because it's a busy time of year and they had some other after-school activities to get to. So Shara Anderson, Mindy Breedemeyer, Carolyn Brooks, Eleanor Busk, Heidi Carmichael, I know she's not here, Leslie Cortinez, Kristen Cruz, Andrew Dillard, Christina Eder McLean, Catherine Gibson, Hannah Horton, Shanna Linnaeus, Carrie McQueen, Dana Miller, Sparkle Mitchell, Amber Knoll, Cheryl Niblo, Shannon Ochoa, Susan Pate, Lindy Roberts, Jimmy Schaefer, no, he's not here, Adrian Seeds, Allison Smith, Leslie Swanson, Brittany Teague, Denise Thompson-Smith, Kristen Velasquez, Caitlin Zemer, and Shay Robertson. All right, these are our Leadership Academy participants. Y'all go take a picture.
Yeah,
I don't know how we want to do this.
Yeah,
We'll have to
yeah.
make a couple of.
We'll make it work.
Come on, we'll do it.
Come on up.
Come on, Denise, you get in the back.
I'm a little taller.
Oh, this is great. All right, y'all, nice. Ooh, I gotta stay right here. On 3, y'all. 1, 2, 3, and one more time. 1, 2, 3. Stay there. And 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Okay, one more. Thank you, guys. Thanks. Congratulations.
Good job.
Nice to meet you. Congratulations to you. I know she is.
All right, we will now move to item 5, oral communication from the public. The board encourages comments about the district from members of the public, and anyone wishing to address the board, as I stated earlier, must have completed a public comment card before the start of the public portion of tonight's meeting, indicating the agenda item or topic about which they wish to speak. Oral communication from the public is governed by AISD policy BED local, and under the Texas Open Meetings Act, the board is not permitted to discuss, speak to, or act upon any issues that are not posted on the agenda for the meeting. A speaker will be given up to 5 minutes to address the board. If, however, the total number of speakers seeking to address the board at a meeting exceeds 5, the per speaker time limit may be reduced. In no event will a speaker be given less than 1 minute to address the board. Tonight, I believe we have 4 guest speakers, and so we won't need to adjust time. Everybody have the 5-minute allotment, and feel free to use that. Dr. Kuhn will monitor the time and make the speaker aware when the time is up, and I believe there is also a timer at the podium. So that'll help anybody that's speaking. You kind of can tell where you're at. So first up tonight is Dan Dukes.
Hello.
Notice all of y'all are sitting in the back of the room. Welcome.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Dukes.
Good to see you guys.
Thank you. Good to see you.
So my name is Dan Dukes, and I'm the Chief Academic Officer of Texas Leadership Public Schools, which is a charter network of schools. We have 11 campuses in 5 cities, and Abilene, of course, is one of those cities. And so we are very interested in purchasing a property from you guys. And so because they're on the agenda and we were moving as fast as we could, this felt like really the only time we could get in and speak about it. But we are particularly interested in the Woodson campus, specifically for the space that it offers. It is we currently have 2 campuses. We already took the Valley View campus and transformed that into our elementary campus. We took the old YMCA on State Street and flipped that into our secondary campus, but we are outgrowing that, and so we really need to have a separate middle school and high school. And so the interest in Woodson really has to do with how close it is to us. It's only 4 minutes from, our 2 campuses are 4 minutes apart, and then the Woodson campus is 4 minutes from the Valley View campus. And so that's an attractive part of that. Because we don't have, charters don't get facility funding or a tax base, so we have to be really strategic in getting buildings, and when an actual school comes available, we have to jump on it because it's much cheaper to renovate an actual school building than it is to take something like the YMCA and flip it, take it from a completely different use and get it up to code as a school. And so that's why we're particularly interested in the Woodson building. I walked it today, and it's got the kind of space we need. It's got a lot of different parts of it. We certainly wouldn't need all of it at the very beginning, but we see the potential for growth there as our schools continue to grow in Abilene. We could envision it becoming a vibrant school building again in town. And that's really exciting. It has a very rich history that we certainly would want to honor and keep that in mind, and not do anything that would take away from honoring and preserving the history of the building. And there's even, brainstorms and ideas we've got to even partner with some of our community to be able to celebrate that as part of it. But it would be a vibrant school with students going in and out and reusing those classrooms. Of course, it would take a lot of work to get it up to code, but our goal would be to have it in place a year from now. And so we're just asking that, so the Texas Education Code does have a part of the open enrollment charter schools when it's considering district facilities, and it does say that the Board of Trustees of an independent school district that intends to sell or lease any unused or underused district facility must give an open enrollment charter school that's located within the boundaries of the district the opportunity to make an offer or purchase or lease the facility before offering the facility for sale or lease to any other specific entity. So that's what the Texas Education Code says. Right under that, it also says the Board of Trustees does not have to accept the offer of the open enrollment charter. So we are just asking that we could have the first, I guess, a closed bid, that we could be able to put in a bid for that and see if we could potentially purchase for that. And I know there's others in the community that would like it as well. And maybe there's a way for a win-win to partner on that and be able to have a multi-use facility or something like that. I think we're open to brainstorms, but we would like to bring a proposal in a closed bid if you guys are willing to do that for us. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Dukes. Next up is Lee Morris.
Good evening. My name is Lee Morris. I'm the CEO of Abilene Restoration Ministries, more commonly referred to as Nehemiah Abilene or Men of Nehemiah here locally. I just want to say thank you guys for letting me come tonight. I got kind of overwhelmed watching all the kids get their awards and all of those things. And one of the things that came to mind was just the impact that I had from one particular teacher in my life. If I can just share that real quick, because, I mean, my proposal is pretty, it's not going to take but about 60 seconds. My parents were drug addicts, and so whenever I went to school, I was in middle school at Lincoln Elementary, and I was definitely not an easy kid to deal with. Coming to school hungry, upset, angry, never having enough sleep, really never having any direction, not even the ability to join any sports. There was one teacher, her name was Miss Merle, and whenever I come to school stinking like cigarettes, she would just grab me and rub lotion on my hands. And I'll never, ever, ever, ever forget that act of kindness. It stuck with me. I think I shared that with some of the guys on the school board that I've met with. What we want to propose is the use of Fannin Elementary. It's on our vision board to have a place for women and their children. Esther's a recovery community of women who have survived abuse, trauma, addiction, homelessness, justice system impact, and other potential barriers to success. Our mission is to retrieve women out of a lifestyle of abuse, trauma, poverty, homelessness, substance abuse, and justice system impact, to renew their hope, rebuild their lives, and restore them to their families, churches, and communities. It's a one-year program designed to disciple women in a relationship with Jesus and to teach them how to live a sober lifestyle that embraces the 12-step recovery process. House of Esther provides a comprehensive and unique approach to healing and personal wholeness. Our primary source of therapy within the idea of Esther is agricultural. And so we've already met with some people on city council about reclaiming the property from the city, which is so far they're open to. And I think the long-term impact for not only the school system, but the Arthur Sears area is significant. I don't know that we can offer much money for the property, but I know that we have done really well with what we have in Abilene. And we've been able to, right now, boast of a zero rate of recidivism for anyone that's graduated our program, meaning out of 33% of the guys that have come through have all previously been incarcerated, and none of them have returned after 2 years. So we want to be able to do that same thing for these women and also provide counseling services and therapy for the kids that are with them, that are trying to walk this thing out and get past the trauma of having an addicted parent. So I brought packets. I didn't know kind of the rules or anything, just to kind of leave something in your hand. Can I hand some stuff out, or is that, am I going to get tased if I walk out there?
Right here. Yep, you can give it to Dr. Wall.
It just, YouTube, what do you do? It just kind of gives the information. It breaks down the hours and how it would look. And there's been a lot of thought, a lot of ideas. I have a very strong board on our 501c3. that is very tied to this community for many generations, that wants to see this city come back to a place, especially Arthur Sears in College Heights area that it used to be. And so I'd just like you guys to consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, sir.
Next up is Edwin McGee. Did I say that correct? Edwin McGee?
Yes, sir.
All right, come on. Welcome.
Yes, I'm Edwin G. McGee, and I live at 1009 Plum Street, right around the corner. And I'm here to talk about the school, Woodson 2. In case any of you don't know, those are hallowed grounds, because I came up in that neighborhood, and I'm still in that neighborhood. We're talking about selling and demolishing a historical site. I heard the gentleman talk about the state and other people. I personally feel that there's a lot of black organization, nonprofit, that needs that building, need to be housing that building, need to be taking care of that building. That's the last of my neighborhood. The town has slowly taken a lot of things black owned and operated in our town. And when I saw this in the news about demolition and wanting to sell it, if anybody deserves that building, it would be a nonprofit black organization. This is all we have left. I was born and raised 609 Mesquite Street, and in case any of you don't know, the cotton gin is where the city hall is now. In the afternoons, they come through with their trailers of hay and whatnot right down my street, going to the cotton gin. In case any of y'all that don't know, born and raised at 609 Mesquite, you got a parking lot there now. The neighborhood has changed dramatically. We've lost our pool at Stevenson Park. Now you're talking about selling and maybe demolishing a historical site. That building coincides with Antioch CME Church, which I am a member of, and I'm a trustee, and I'm gonna make this short and sweet because we're having a board meeting, but I had a chance to talk with the Lord and say, I got a board meeting, I want to talk here. My car is outside and I can't get my passenger window up, so it's wide open. I don't need no speech in front of me, I'm speaking from my heart. If you want to do anything with that building, you give it to some of these black organizations that need that building, and don't take away our neighborhood. If only you knew those streets wasn't paved, they were dirt. Running across stickers, cutting our feet. It was a neighborhood. Across there where Meals on Wheels, that driveway had 6 houses. And across that alley was 24 more shotgun houses. See, we had a neighborhood. See, everybody beat you up back then. See, you didn't talk back to grown folks and act crazy with them like these young folks are doing today. We need that. Let us have that building. Let us use our organization to help, just like they are doing anyway. That building would be perfect for what we're talking about. Now, I'm going to go ahead and leave it with that, and I'm going to go and explain to the pastor why I was late for board meeting. And the reason I didn't take off my hat is because if I did that, I might run y'all out of here.
Thank you, Mr. McGee.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
all.
Thank you.
I got to go.
And last but not least, Mr. Anthony Williams, our former mayor of Abilene. Welcome to the AISD school board meetings. Glad you're here.
Well, glad to be here. Darrell, Mr. Zeller, Dr. Koo, welcome to Abilene. Trustees, thank you for your time and your due diligence. Derek, appreciate you for your service to this community. I won't take very long. I heard about this past weekend, and being something you're talking about, and that is what's in high school. You know, next year, 2025, will mark 135 years of formal education for the African American in this community. From Mount Zion Church to erected buildings is a story of schools for blacks in this community. I would ask you, just because of the significance of that building, what it represents for this community, for you to table at least that building, to allow us to have some conversation. I spoke briefly to Andrew Penns. You know, Pastor Penns is the historian in Abilene. Robin Walls is with us. He's the developer here in Abilene. Shante Fleming is an activist here. And we'd just love an opportunity over the summer to collaborate and communicate, plan, and present what we think may be an opportunity for you to consider ways to preserve and honor that building. And hey, Foley McGee, actually a relative of mine, but he's very passionate. That building means something. And we would just love an opportunity for you to allow us to work towards presenting a plan that will be beneficial for the district and, more importantly, our community. So thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Anthony. All right, that concludes our public comment time. Again, this is an opportunity. If you'd like to leave, you can. We'd love to have you stay through the rest of the evening. So we will now move to item 6, the consent agenda. The AISD Board of Trustees meetings are preceded by an in-depth board workshop. Board workshops are held prior to regular meetings, usually on a Thursday before the following Monday meeting. The purpose of the workshop meeting of the board is to discuss items in preparation for potential consideration at future board meetings. Meeting times for board meetings are posted on the AISD website at www.abileneisd.org, and the public is invited to attend those. At this time, does a board member wish to remove an item for discussion from the consent agenda? All right, there being none, do I have a motion regarding the items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Dr. Wheat, the motion's been made by Dr. Wheat. Is there a second?
Second.
Derek Hood has seconded. Any discussion? We will now take a roll call vote. Cindy Earls?
Yes.
Bill Enriquez?
Yes.
Rodney Goodman?
Yes.
Angie Wiley?
Yes.
Derek Hood?
Yes.
Darrell Zeller, yes. Danny Wheat?
Yes.
The motion passes 7-0. We will now move to item 7, reports. And item A is a TASB pay plan study. And I'd like to call on Mrs. Allison Sims to present that tonight.
Trustees, I'm excited to let you know that you don't get to listen to me tonight discuss about the pay plan studies. Actually, Zach Hobbs is here from TASB, and he has led this study for us. This is an annual project that we undertake to begin looking at compensation for the next school year. And so I'm going to hand it over to Zach and let him share with you all that he has found.
Thank you, Allison. I'm hoping there's a presentation that's coming. All right, awesome. Good evening. As Allison said, I'm here just to present the findings, results, and recommendations for the board to consider from the pay review that we did with the district. This is what we call annual maintenance project with districts, and so this is to help maintain the pay plan that was put into place previously, that when we worked with the district years ago, and so we're just helping to maintain that plan, make adjustments for improvement. And so I'm going to walk you through the process we went through, some of our findings, and some recommendations for you to consider. First, just to talk about the process, I went through this with you guys last year, but it's been a year, and so just to give you an idea of what we do, we start off with a planning meeting. We call it a kickoff call, but it's a planning meeting with district staff. Met with Allison and Chris specifically, and others got involved as needed. But we talked about what are the goals of the project, what are some concerns the district has with their current compensation plan. We also collect data during that process, so that's all part of the data collection process and part of that planning meeting and kickoff discussion. Next, we conduct our market pay review. We recommend market-based pay systems, so we conduct a market analysis to do that. That involves gathering market data, matching jobs from Abilene ISD to like jobs out in the marketplace. We use that market analysis to build models for improvement, that last step there. So that helps drive the decisions that we make for improving the compensation plan. For any adjustments, we will make alignments to pay structures to address market rates, and we will also make recommendations for adjusting employee pay to address any inequities, either internally or externally. Some pay system objectives I just want to talk about briefly. These are things for you to consider as a board. These are things we look at when we're working with the district when we're going through this process. Some goals that we want to accomplish. In no particular order, I'm going to start at the top left. Recruiting employees is obviously important. You want to recruit employees to the district when you have vacancies. This is done by having competitive entry rates or competitive rates for staff coming in with experience. So having competitive rates for new hires. That's accomplished by having strong pay structures, and so that's something that we want to make sure we accomplish as part of the review. Moving down to the bottom left, retaining employees is another goal. We want to keep quality staff within the district and not lose them to other districts or to the private sector. That is done in a myriad of ways, but when we're talking about just compensation, typically that it's involved by giving regular general pay increases. You know, there's other things you can do with retention of staff outside of compensation. We're just talking about compensation right now. So we talk about giving regular general pay increases to help advance individuals to market pay if they're below market pay. Moving to the top right, paying for the job value is another important objective that we try to accomplish. Again, market-based pay system, you're paying individuals based on market rates. So the goal is to try to pay individuals as close to market rates as possible over time. This can accomplish a lot of things that's beneficial for districts. It prevents overpayment or underpayment of jobs. That can be important for many reasons. If you're underpaying jobs, you're going to deal with retention issues. If you're overpaying for jobs, you're not using your funds wisely. And as a public school system, you're limited on funds. We all realize that, and so you want to make sure you're using those wisely. And so if you're overpaying for jobs, that can lead to budget issues. And so we want to balance that out. Our pay structures help drive that by creating some control points. And last, tying into that, controlling cost. You want to ensure that your budget will support your pay plan, support your general pay increase going forward. And so that we're going to provide you some different cost estimates for you to consider as you're going through your budget process today. Just some other things about a pay system, just to kind of give you an idea and a reminder about what we're trying to accomplish here. This is just a sample of what a pay structure might look like. And I'm talking about separate from your teachers. Your teachers are on a salary schedule like you typically see based on years of experience, but for your non-teachers, we set up a pay system that's based on pay grades and jobs with similar skills, responsibilities, and market rates are placed within that pay grade. From there, we set midpoint rates that we attempt to align with market rates for those jobs. And then we have a minimum rate and a maximum rate that will help prevent underpayment and overpayment of jobs. It helps control pay around that market rate. So this just kind of gives you an idea of what a pay system would look like with those midpoints aligned with market rates. So let's dig into Abilene specifically in the process we went through this year. This is a list of the peer districts we used in the market analysis this year. So there's 19 peer districts here. I realize that's small to get them all on there. I'll just point out a few things here. There are 2 districts on the list that did not participate in our salary survey this year. That is Denton and Jim Ned CISD. So we were able to pull their teacher salary schedules and include them in the teacher market analysis. We just don't have individual salaries for the non-teaching jobs. So for your teachers, we're going to have 19 peer districts involved in that market analysis. For your non-teachers, we still have a great sample set, but there's only going to be 17 districts. Those 2 would not be included there. So just keep that in mind. Another thing that we use for private sector data is we use the Economic Research Institute and Comp Analyst. We can go into those databases and run market analysis for private sector jobs. Looking at jobs that compete in the private sector is very important. You do compete with the private sector for a lot of your jobs. So we use that data as well. I'm going to start with just giving you a snapshot of your teachers and the demographics. And what you're going to see on the slide here, the left-hand pie chart is the 22-23 demographics of your teachers. The right-hand side is this school year, the 23-24 demographics. I did this last year, so I wanted to be consistent of what I'm showing you this year. It just shows how your demographics have changed from one year to the next. Didn't change significantly. I'll point out a couple things that I observed. The 16 to 20 years grew slightly, not by much, a couple teachers. Your 11 to 15 years grew slightly, again, just by a few teachers. Your 6 to 10 year range actually decreased a little bit, again, not by much. And your 1 to 5 years decreased a little bit, and again, not by much when you're looking at the number of teachers. Where we saw another change was in the 0-year teachers. It wasn't significant, but the number of 0-year teachers did increase a little bit this year. So there wasn't any significant changes here. But if you look at this over time and keep track of it, you can see patterns and trends and see things that are happening here. But there wasn't any significant changes with your teacher demographics this past year. This next slide shows the new hires to the district. Again, the left-hand chart is the new hires to the district in 22-23. The right-hand side is the new hires in 23-24. So you can see, well, who did we attract to the district last year? Who did we attract this year? We do see a little bit of difference here. You attracted a whole lot more new teachers to the profession. I say a whole lot more percentage-wise. If you look at the number, it was 63 to 67. So number-wise, it wasn't much, but the percentage of the new hires to your district was much higher as far as those new to the teaching profession. Not an unusual thing. It's not unusual to see this chart change quite a bit from year to year. A lot of it depends on the applicant pool that's out there. There's a lot of variables involved there, but I just wanted to point that out. This was your new hires for the 23-24 school year. I would say that a good note that I would say here is you went from 153 new hires to 113. That tells me that you had pretty good retention in 23-24 versus 22-23. I think that's a good sign. Here is the market analysis for your teachers. This is a graphical representation. I'll show you some numbers behind this in a minute. But let me explain what's on here. In our salary survey, we survey for 5 data points on the teacher salary schedule, the 0, 5, 10, 15, and 20-year marks. You can see that across the x-axis on the bottom of the chart there. And then I've got the annual salaries on the y-axis going up the left-hand side. The blue line represents the local market median of the peer districts. So those 19 peer districts, the way I like to think about this is half of those districts are paying above this line, half of them are paying below the line. This is the middle value of the 19 districts, if you were to put them from highest to lowest in salary. The orange line represents Abilene ISD's teacher salary, and we're looking at the salary schedules that districts use for recruiting teachers is what we're looking at. So we're comparing the teacher salary schedule to teacher salary schedules. So you can see that you are falling below the median. We compare to the median value. You're falling below the median or the middle value of the peer group in all surveyed points. You're more competitive early on in the schedule than you are as you move towards the middle of the schedule and later on. If you're more of a numbers person, this shows you the same data just with numbers in a chart. So I've got the 5-year increment marks across the top. Abilene ISD salaries in that first row. The local market median is there in the second row. The percent of market, so comparing Abilene ISD salary to the market as a percent, is in that next row. So you are 95% of the market median at year 0 is what that's saying. Or you could think about it 5% below the market median at year 0. And then I'll show you the dollar amount difference. So $2,558 below market median at year 0. So you can see how the gap extends further away from the median when you get up to 5, 10, 15, and 20 years there. Some other things that we look at are just some common teaching area stipends. This is mainly informative for the district. I will talk about a few things here. What I'll point out is that 11 of the 17 peer districts that participated in the survey are paying secondary math and science stipends with a median of $2,000. What I would recommend is just look at turnover data. If you're having issues with secondary math and science, this is a way to bridge that gap a little bit. You could add a stipend in that area. Your special education high needs stipend is competitive. It's real close to the market median value at $3,000. 15 of 17 districts are paying that. This has been a hot topic the past couple of years with districts across the state and districts that I've worked with. It seems that this is a high turnover area, very difficult to fill these positions, and I can understand. These are self-contained units, students with high needs, and it's a very demanding job. Districts that I've worked with in these past couple of years are either adding the stipend or increasing it to try to address that. Abilene's in a good place right now, but just want to point that out. You might want to keep your finger on that pulse there. A bilingual stipend is very competitive. That one has seemed to have leveled out some the past few years. It was trending upward for quite a while, and I think we've gotten to a level where districts have just said, I don't think we can go any higher. There's not enough applicants out there, but this is what we're going to pay. So I haven't seen that one move much here lately. Let's look at our non-teaching pay groups. This looks a little bit different than what you see with the teachers. You know, with your teachers, they're all paid on the same schedule. With your non-teachers, everyone's on a different pay grade. So I broke it out into some different pay groups for you just to kind of see how pay compares for different groups within the district. So I'll talk about central administration, and then we can move through the rest of them pretty fast, but I'll explain how the chart reads. So for central administration, the employee pay to market is 97%. That means for all of the jobs in central administration, in this case there were 23, you can see it on the far right-hand column, that we matched in the marketplace. If you look at those in aggregate, they're 97% of market. Their pay is 97% of market. There's some that are above market, some that are below, but on average, they're paid 97% of market. The next column, pay grade midpoint to market, this shows how competitive your pay structure is. That's very important if you have vacancies, because your pay structure is going to define your hiring rates when you have vacancies. So you want to make sure your pay structure is competitive. We do that by looking at your midpoint of that pay range compared to market rates. For your central administration jobs, your pay structures are competitive. They're 99% of market. We consider that competitive. You're right there close to market rates overall. And then there's a pay grade to minimum column. We only look at that for our hourly staff, so you're only going to see that for the bottom three groups. And then, again, the number of benchmarks that we matched within that pay group is on the far right-hand side. So some things to point out here. You'll see campus administration and professional. The pay grade midpoints to market are competitive, 101%, 105%. Technology falls down a little bit. That's not an unusual thing because I'm pulling in a lot of private sector data there. It's difficult to compete with the private sector in technology, obviously. So that's why you're seeing the pay rates are a little bit low there. We still have the midpoints trying to keep them competitive. They're at 96%. So we're not bad there, but just a little bit low. Instructional support, clerical and technical and auxiliary, these are your hourly positions. So non-exempt positions, they're paid an hourly rate for every hour they work. What you're going to see is pay rates are a little low to market. That can be driven by having a lot of new individuals in those positions. So there's a lot of variables involved there. But you're also going to see that their pay grade midpoints to market are a little bit lower than what we're seeing in some of the other groups. And so we want to address that as part of the review. And we did make some changes there to try to address that. And also that next column, pay grade minimum to market. This is looking at the minimum rate of the pay grades compared to the minimum rates out in the marketplace. You can see that we're falling behind, and we are making some recommendations to try to improve that tonight, and you'll see that here in a minute. And then again, you can see the number of benchmarks there. So the recommendation one for the district considers to adopt the proposed pay structure adjustments to improve market competitiveness and internal equity. We're trying to keep midpoints competitive with the market, and we improve the minimum rates for the non-exempt pay groups. I'm going to show you some detail behind what we did with the non-exempt pay groups. And starting with the clerical paraprofessional group, there's 9 pay grades in this group. That first table there in the white shows the current 23-24 pay ranges. So it shows the minimum rate, the midpoint rate, and the maximum rate for every pay grade. The middle section there that's in that blue is the proposed pay range. for the 24-25 school year. And then you can see the change, how much they're changing on a dollar amount, and then I showed you the percent of the midpoint change on the far right-hand column. So this is a significant adjustment for this group, especially for those pay grades 1 through 4. This is where you were seeing, in the market analysis, we were seeing the minimums furthest below minimums out in the marketplace. So we wanted to address that. Those pay grades are a lot of your classroom aides, special education aides, some of your lower level clerical support jobs, and so we want to try to address that. So we're improving minimums, as much as you can see, 50 cents in pay grade 1, 70 cents in pay grade 2, 80 cents in pay grade 3, 90 cents in pay grade 4. So a significant adjustment to the minimum rates. That should help, hopefully, with recruitment when you have vacancies. And then this is also going to drive up the rates for current employees, because we're going to have to adjust those employees to get them aligned with the new pay structures. So hopefully it will help with retention too, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So that's your clerical paraprofessional structure adjustments that we're proposing. Again, significant adjustments in those early pay grades 1 through 4. Next is the auxiliary group. I want to show you the structure adjustments here. Again, the 23-24 rates, your current rates are in the left-hand table, and then in the blue is the proposed, and you can see the changes on the far right. Again, very significant adjustments in the early pay grades 1 through 4. Again, they tail off a little bit from there, and then a pretty significant adjustment for your bus drivers, the very last pay grade down there. Improved the minimum by $1.75. It's 8.8% increase in the midpoint for your bus drivers. So again, significant adjustments here to try to get those minimum rates up in a more competitive place. For your administrative professional and your technology groups, we did make adjustments, but they were slight, around 1% on average of the midpoint, just to keep up with the market. Your structures were competitive in those groups overall. We just don't want to lose that competitiveness. So some slight adjustments to keep up with market rates there. But we really wanted to target the non-exempt group, so I wanted to show you guys that detail here tonight. Recommendation 2, so back up. Recommendation 1 is to adopt pay structures. Recommendation 2 would be to adopt a general pay increase. So we're providing 3 models to help with the budget process. Model 1 is a 2% for all job groups. Model 2 is a 2.5%. And Model 3 is a 3%. Just as a reminder for your teachers, what we do is we look at the market median teacher salary. In this case, in this year, it was $60,956, and we take a percent of that, and every teacher gets that dollar amount increase. So under the 2% model, we take 2% of that $60,956, that dollar amount, and I don't have that with me. I think it was $1,525 for Model 1, and then it increased from there. But every teacher will get the same dollar amount increase. For your other pay groups, it's a percent of the employee's pay grade midpoint. So everyone in the same pay grade gets the same dollar amount increase. So it's a percent of the midpoint. You guys have followed that model, and that's the model that we recommend. Recommendation 3 is to provide adjustments to address market differences and maintain equity. And I'm going to talk some specifics here on this, specifically the third bullet. But let me talk through what we do here. We adjust the structures, then we apply the general pay increase. If we have individuals that are falling below, we create a threshold at 1% above minimum. If they're still below that threshold of 1% above minimum, after the general pay increase, we adjust them to that threshold. So think about those clerical paraprofessional pay grades that we adjusted significantly. We moved that minimum up, and it outpaced your current staff's pay. Even after the general pay increase, they were still below that new minimum. We're going to adjust them to 1% above the new minimum. The reason we want to do that is a new employee coming in next year that with no experience at minimum, your returning employee would at least be above them. So that's a floor that we bring everybody to, is 1% above the minimum. From there, we look at some other things, and I'll talk about that on bullet 3, but let me talk about bullet 2 first. We apply teacher pay equity adjustments to your administrative professional staff. Specifically, this is looking at counselors, assistant principals, principals, those individuals that are required to have a teacher certification go through the teacher career pathway. We want to ensure that their daily rate is more than what their daily rate would be on the teacher schedule for their years of experience. So an easy way to think about it, you have a counselor with 20 years of experience in the business. We look at that counselor's daily rate right now as a counselor, what their daily rate would be on the teacher salary schedule at 20 years. We ensure that it's 2% above what their teacher daily rate would be. So if the general pay increase doesn't get them to 2% above, we make a slight adjustment to get them up there. The placement scale adjustments is where I want to spend some time. Because of the significant increases we made in the minimum rates for your clerical and paraprofessional, it caused some issues. We call it compression in the compensation world, but I'm going to show you some exhibits here that hopefully will show the picture. So this is your clerical paraprofessional group. I've got 3 charts here. What these charts are showing are the 9 pay grades with your minimum, midpoint, and maximum, and every diamond is an employee. And I kind of want you to just think about this big picture here, and I think you'll understand what I'm trying to accomplish here. The far left-hand chart shows the adjustment to the structures, the general pay increase, and the adjustment to 1% above minimum with no placement scales. And so a placement scale would spread individuals out across the pay structure based on their years of experience. So what I want you to see is if you look in that left-hand chart, if you look at pay grades 1, 2, 3, and 4 specifically, you're going to see a lot of diamonds packed right down there right above the minimum. We call that compression. And so all those individuals are packed down there at the minimum because the structure adjustments outpace their pay rates. And they got adjusted to that floor, 1% above minimum, and that was it. So we have a lot of individuals right there with different years of experience making the same pay rate. We would prefer to spread them out and provide equity based on their years of experience. Typically, what we do is we provide a placement scale from minimum to midpoint, and so we would max individuals at midpoint. There are some issues with that if you have individuals with some high experience levels, and y'all do in these pay grades. So if I apply a placement scale in pay grades 1 to 4, and I stop it at midpoint, and I ran this model, so spreading them out from minimum to midpoint over a 15-year period. If you look at that middle chart, look at pay grades 1 through 4 now. What we ended up causing was compression at the midpoint. We have a bunch of folks there at the midpoint with different experience levels. And so I saw that as an issue. What I wanted to do was try to value their experience beyond the midpoint, beyond the 15 years. So I ran a second model. You'll see that on the far right-hand side. I spread it out all the way to the maximum over a 30-year period. You can see that compression went away both at the minimum and the midpoint in pay grades 1 through 4. There's still a lot of individuals down below at the bottom because there's a lot of individuals with low experience. But we relieve that compression both at the minimum and at the midpoint by doing that. Now there's a downside to this. It's costly. And you're going to see that in the cost estimates, but I feel like that it would be the best approach for the district to address those inequities and improve the pay rates for these staff members in these jobs that we were seeing below market rates. So I just wanted to point that out. I'm going to show you the exact same thing on the auxiliary. For the auxiliary, we applied placement scales to pay grades 1 through 3 and the bus drivers. So here, if you look at the far left-hand, this is before placement scales. You're going to see some compression issues there. You can see the bus drivers on the far right with the BD designation. The middle one is if I just did the placement scales up to midpoint for 15 years, we cause that compression at midpoint. And then the far right-hand column is if I extend it out to maximum over 30 years, we relieve that compression at both midpoint and the minimum rate. So it helps value those individuals and their years of experience with the district and in the job. Okay, so that being said, here is the cost models. Here's the first cost model, the 2% model. I have it broken down by the different pay groups, your teachers and librarians, administrative professional, information technology, clerical paraprofessional, auxiliary. I show you the general pay increase impact, the adjustment impact, and the total cost impact. I'll point out the adjustments here. For your administrative professionals, this is those teacher pay equity adjustments. That's $64,981. That's what that's for. For your information technology, these were just a few individuals that needed some adjustments to minimum. There was very slight. There wasn't a whole lot happening there that needed to be addressed. But the clerical paraprofessional auxiliary, the adjustments are significant. This is because of those placement scales. Again, we improve those minimums so high to try to be more competitive. It's very costly to try to take care of that internal equity after that. So I just want to point out that's why those adjustments are so high that you're seeing here. So the total cost impact under a 2% model, it's actually 3.2% cost impact because of that. So it's almost $3.5 million overall. The next model, Model 2, is a 2.5%. What you're going to see is that, and if you had this side by side, it'd be easier, but you'll see the adjustments are going to go down. If I back up real quick, your adjustments over here on the 2% model are a little over 1.1. On the 2.5% model, they drop down to just a little over 1 million because we apply the general pay increase first, then look at adjustments. So the higher the general pay increase, the less adjustments you need. There's an inverse relationship there. The 2.5% model comes out to almost a $4 million impact. And then the last model, the 3% model, again, you'll see the adjustments drop down even more. We're down to almost $900,000. The total cost impact for this one is almost $4.5 million. That was a lot of information, I know, and a lot of detail, but any questions about any of the exhibits that I showed? Yes, ma'am.
I think you answered my first question. It was, you do the adjustment and then you add the raise.
Other way around. We apply the raise first. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Are you talking about the adjustment of the structure?
Yeah.
Okay, you said it right. Yes, ma'am. So we adjust the structure first, then we apply the general pay increase. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And then we apply any equity adjustments after that.
And all those three models that you gave us, was that based on the 30-year recommendation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yep. That would be spreading them out to 30 years and relieving that compression.
About 30 years. Is that
It's essentially, yes, it's based on experience. Okay. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking the minimum and the maximum of that pay grade, and I'm creating 30 increments. And then I look at every individual. This person's got 10 years, I'm going to slot them in at the 10-year rate. This person has 9 years, I'm going to slot them in at the 9-year rate. And so they're getting adjusted up to that rate. And so those individuals in those pay grades are going to get adjustments significantly above whatever the general pay increase was. Good question.
So with the two rates, did that take in consideration the equity? If the equity is not met, those numbers include that dollar value?
I think I understand what you're saying. So you're asking, do the cost estimates include the adjustments? This is aligning everyone with the placement scale. So it is taking care of all internal equity based on years of experience for those jobs. So if you look at all your classroom aides in pay grade 1, we're going to place them in the pay range based on their years of experience. If someone has 30 years, they're going to be at the top. Someone has 0 years, they're going to be at the bottom, and they're going to be spread out in between.
Which of these models kind of addresses, there's certain employees that are, well above the market median. Mm-hmm. Which of those models kind of adjust for, the people that are below that median to get them above or at 100% of market?
We don't look at just trying to get everyone to 100% of market.
Okay.
What we're doing is in the general pay increase, giving it as a percent of midpoint is going to accomplish some things there. Individuals that are below the midpoint are going to get a higher percent of their pay than individuals above the midpoint. Okay, if you think about how that works. If you're giving a percent of this midpoint, if your pay rate's down here and you're getting a percent of this, then the percent of your salary is going to be much higher, your increase, than someone that's up here. So what we're doing is those that are below midpoint are market rates. We're trying to get them up to the market rate faster than those that are above market rates. They're going to move away from the market rate slower. Some data behind that, if you were to take an individual and assume they stay in their job for 30 years, if you give them a percent of their salary and run it out for 30 years, and you give them a percent of their midpoint and run it out for 30 years, they're going to reach midpoint on average about 2 years sooner if you give a percent of midpoint. And then, but the funny thing is, if you keep running it out, they almost come back together at 30 years. They just end up getting their increases earlier on in their career.
Yeah.
Is what that does.
Yeah, I was just looking through the models and trying to see which one maybe had some adjustment or which better adjusted for those that because if it's 2%, 2.5%, or 3%, if you're above the market median, I mean, you're still getting
Still going to get a
that
percent of
much
that midpoint.
of an increase, and so your pay above the market median continues to increase. Where, in my opinion, the goal needs to be some adjustments to what you just said.
Sure.
To
And the
try and
general
get
pay
those
increase
below
is
market.
going to do that a little bit. Because, I mean, an example would be on a 3% model. An individual that's low in the pay range might get 3.1% of their salary. Whereas an individual that's at the upper end of the pay range, they're only going to get 2.9% of their salary.
Sure.
And so it does adjust for that sum. But you still want to give individuals pay increases even if they're above market rates. There's a reason they're above market rates. It could be because of skills, performance, longevity,
Sure.
whatever that may be.
No, I'm sure everybody on the board's tired of me harping on this every year, but to have that across the board 2.5%, 3% increase, it's not, I don't want to say fair, it's just not equitable.
The only other way around that is you have to have a performance system that's in place that's very good.
Yeah, what if you were to say any employee currently above 5% of market is not eligible for the whatever plan we say 2% increase? How much money would that save us? I mean, I know you couldn't say that off the top of your head.
I'm
but you've
going to
got
tell
those
you
figures.
it's not going to save you a significant amount.
Okay.
I would not recommend that.
Sure, I'm just spitballing.
But no, I understand.
I would like to see
I
what the
understand.
savings are, because, you know, we're talking about anywhere from 3.4 million to almost 4.5 million, you know,
You bet.
depending upon which of these three plans that
significant.
we choose. So there's got to be some cost savings, and trying to
Just to give you an idea,
level out those spikes, I guess.
if you look, I mean, this is just your auxiliary group, but if you look at this far right-hand chart here, most of your staff are below midpoint.
Right.
Right. And
But
so
those above it are going to continue to stay well above midpoint.
now, here's some strategies that the district can take, is you can look at those above maximal. And so if you look at pay grade 1, for example, there's a lot of individuals above maximal. So in the compensation world, we would say that those above maximum wouldn't get a pay increase because you're not preserving the integrity of the pay system. So the integrity of the pay system is you want individuals to be paid within those pay ranges, the minimum and the maximum. We address those below minimum by adjusting them to minimum.
Right.
We're not going to decrease people's pay to bring them down below maximum, but that could be, it's going to be minor, but that's a place where the district can consider cost savings, is how do we handle those above maximum.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
No, I understand. I understand. And you guys have tough decisions to make with the budget and making sure it will sustain what's going forward. So I understand completely.
So go ahead, Rod.
I've got a question on the market comparisons. On some of them, it was the respondents to the 19 districts we compare ourselves to, and on other, there was the whole state between 10,000 and 24,000
Yes.
students. So what's the difference, or why are they not all the same comparison?
Yeah, good question. Typically, when we're looking at central administration jobs, so think about director level and above positions, we will look at districts of comparable size statewide if we have a wide variety of peer districts that are different in size. And so if you look at your peer districts here,
There were several kind of outliers.
You've got a wide variety of sizes here in peer districts. And so if you're thinking about a director level above job and I'll just use some examples, in a small district like, Wiley ISD, or to be extreme, Jim Ned, or even Alito, that are down there, 8,000, 5,000, Jim Ned 1,600. That job is very different than Abilene ISD or some of these larger districts. It's not the same job. They don't have a big department that they're overseeing. They don't have the personnel that they're having to deal with. Those smaller districts argue they wear more hats, and I would agree. But it's a different job, and it's a different market. And so what we typically do for those type of jobs is we look at districts of similar size statewide. That's a better representation of the job responsibilities because it's a similar size district. And it's also going to place it better for the type of position you might be recruiting in there if you have a vacancy. So we're thinking about the pay structure, making sure your pay structure is competitive. So if you have a vacancy in one of those positions, more than likely you're going to pull from a district of a similar size that maybe wants to come to Abilene, or you might pull from a larger district and maybe the number 2 person in that department that maybe wants to step up to the number 1 person. And by following the districts of similar size, that gets us in a competitive place to accomplish both of those.
Is 25,000 on the top end, is that too high for comparison, or?
I don't. You could argue that. To me, I think it's probably a little high, but others may say no. I don't know.
Who picked that number? Is
that I chose that, and so we break out enrollment groups. We have them broken out in different groups. I chose the group that I felt was the best representation for what we were trying to accomplish.
Okay.
So.
Can you go back to your graph that shows our comparison and where we're at? It's just the line graph there.
Right here.
So this is based on last year's data.
This is the 23-24
right.
data. So yeah. So this current school year.
Current year, but I'm looking forward, so it's going to be a year behind. So what I've seen through my time here is that when we make a move based on this type of information, it's really just keeping pace because we don't seem to be gaining ground.
Everybody else is going to give a pay increase.
Right. Yep. I'm assuming that. I've been watching a little bit of what's happened early on across the state.
I think they're going to be low this year.
Yeah, they are. Some of those have been. So this one is always frustrating to see because right now we're looking at it, I look at it as a year behind.
It is.
So we make this jump, and if we don't make a double jump, we don't really, this doesn't change.
Yep.
So.
I mean, none of us have a crystal ball, but
no.
What I'm hearing from districts is 2% is going to be high for districts this year, and so
which is a shame.
It is a shame, and however, if a district has some funds, that's an opportunity to gain some ground. But you have to have the funds.
Yeah. Any other questions?
If you guys think of anything else, y'all can get with Allison, and she can contact me, and I can try to get you any information.
Thank you
try
for
to
your
help
work.
you out.
Yeah, appreciate it.
No hard decisions.
You're not a numbers guy, are you?
Oh no. So I was I've been a few things in my past. I was an actuary at one point in time.
Yeah.
I was a high school math teacher, high school principal, and now doing this.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for your help and assisting us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
All right. I would like to now call on Dr. Stephanie Jackson, Mrs. Mandy Joyner, and Dr. Margaret Hope. They're going to present to us on several items.
Good evening, Dr. Kuhn and Mr. Zeller and Board of Trustees. We appreciate you being with us tonight to go over social studies, reading language arts, and languages other than English. I have Dr. Margaret Hope is with me. She is secondary RLA and also oversees Lodi. And then Mandy Joyner is our elementary RLA. Just a few things that I wanted to go through with you guys. remind you that we are in a gap year for our social studies adoption. We're going to talk about a supplementary resource that we purchased because we are in a gap year with social studies, and then also highly qualified instructional materials, or HQIM. This is, the state highly recommends us use these so that we are reaching our growth and mastery for all students. This is something that we're focusing on our Strong Foundations Planning Grant. Something that we've done for the district for professional development throughout the entire district was our Lead Forward STAR professional development that happened in February of 2024. This was solely to prepare our teachers to do a STAR review up to 10 days before the STAR test. And then also our district designated curriculum documents, or DDCD. This is updated yearly for all subjects and all grade levels. We make sure that we are keeping the pacing and focusing on our TEKS, and the rigor and student engagement stays high. All right, Margaret.
All right, so for LODI, Languages Other Than English, in Abilene ISD, we focus on Spanish. And our teachers do a really great job of trying to make sure they bring in a lot of real-world applications. They've been putting a lot of projects into place, trying to bring in community members, and they've really been emphasizing speaking and listening and trying to make sure their students are actually practicing in the classroom. For professional learning this summer, we're going to be working with Dr. Wagendorf at ACU, and he'll be working with cultural pieces and teaching differentiation, and once again emphasizing those opportunities to practice speaking and what that could look like in the classroom. And then we're also doing some collaboration opportunities to go through our DDCD and to talk about some different ways that teachers have collaborated with the community. For district support, I've had the privilege of being in our Spanish classrooms, and it is so much fun to get to be in there with them. And so I look forward to continuing to be involved with them. We're going to be collaborating in the summer and working through things, and then we'll continue to provide staff development as we move forward. For RLA, and so this is looking at all levels, so elementary and secondary. This is our second year of STAR 2.0, and so when they redid the STAR, we have a big increase in writing across all areas, and so we have worked to respond to that and provide structures. And so elementary and secondary teachers got to go, and Region 14 came and trained some of our teachers here. We have worked in collaborative groups with teachers. We've worked individually. We've done campus. We've done small groups. And this is for things me and Mandy have both done to try and address this increased emphasis on writing. And you'll see up at the top, it talks about extended and short constructed responses. And some of these items are seen not only on the RLA STAR test, but on some of the others as well. So we're hoping that it supports our fellow subjects as well. As Dr. Munoz talked about on Thursday, RLA is getting to do the Strong Foundations Planning Grant, and we are super excited about that. We're excited about getting our teachers trained in research-based instructional strategies. We're excited about working with Brenna Muscatel from Region 14 as our vendor, and we are excited about what this could look like once we get some more instructional frameworks put into our RLA classrooms. For secondary in particular, I have had the pleasure of getting to be in rooms throughout this year. Specifically, I made reading lab plans. I made daily reading lab plans so that they could complement RLA classes. So kids aren't seeing the same things over and over again, but we can build some of those foundational school skills that they'll see in RLA when they get there. We are still using Patterns of Power. So this is our grammar resource, and they're actually coming out with a revision side of it, and Mandy will talk a little bit more about that. Prior to STAR, in order to help support there, I got to go co-teach in classrooms, support long-term subs, and actually pull small groups in the hallway. And sometimes it was individual kids, sometimes it was groups. And then I also had an optional book study for all my secondary teachers for the Writing Revolution. So once again, trying to think about how can we put some low-stakes writing into classes on a regular basis. And you'll see some of the other things I've done with our middle school teachers as well. For high school, it's many similar things. One thing that's different is we did AP mock exams for our AP English classes so that those teachers can see how are these kids currently doing, what do we need to do to improve upon, and then they can look at that. I also got to co-teach in classrooms there and spend significant time in there working with students one-on-one, and then they also participated in our book study for the Writing Revolution. College Prep English, this is our first full year using Texas College Bridge for that. And the big thing with College Prep is that students that meet TSI criteria for both English and math, we get CCR accountability, but the CCMR, I apologize. But the bigger thing that if they complete this and they become TSI exempt is that they are past that requirement at 19 Texas universities and 78 community colleges. So this is another way to try and open up some more doors for students and allow them access to get to that higher education there. So for STAR review, I focused on 2 middle school and 2 high school campuses that showed the most need due to benchmark scores. And the numbers you're looking at there are focusing just on the 3 weeks before STAR. I was doing a lot of this starting in like January, really. But in the 3 weeks before STAR, you'll see the numbers there of the hours I spent in classrooms with teachers there. I also got to co-teach with a long-term sub. I did the prepping, the grading, all that. It was great. And then, as you just said, I did group pull-out tutoring in the hallway, and I got to work with our EOC retesters at Abilene High and Cooper in small groups one-on-one there. And then I also helped to create review materials as we started working through STAR. All right, and Mandy's going to talk to y'all about elementary.
Thank you. All right, good evening. So we'll move to elementary RLA. On this slide, you'll see many of our resources. SAVIS is our reading adoption, but we do have additional resources. TEA requires that we have a phonics instruction program in K through 3. So we have foundations for kinder through 2nd, and then we have benchmark phonics and word study in 3rd grade. This slide is slightly different from your board notes because we've made some changes. Dr. Godinho mentioned that we were making some changes with Reading Academy. TA made a large change where all participants now must attend in person, which costs $3,000 per teacher. So you can see that would be a large charge for our district. So we have found a new option where we will have a new position posted, hopefully tomorrow, for a Reading Academy cohort leader. So this person will be employed by Abilene ISD. They will work in coordination with Region 14, and they will provide the 7 to 10 days of in-person professional development. They will complete coaching cycles with our Reading Academy participants. The principals are the only ones that can remain online. Everyone else from now on will be in person. We have 43 teachers who are currently finishing the last online cohort. And then we had 3 teachers who started the in-person program in January with Region 14. So lots of great changes happening there. This slide shows you all the ways that I support teachers on campuses. This is an explanation of why I love my job so much, because I get to mentor and check in with new teachers. I get to model, co-teach. I spend a lot of time with Modeling Foundations, our phonics program. I complete classroom walkthroughs and lots of collaboration with teachers and campus leadership. Between Benchmark and STAR, I spent a lot of times on 4 targeted campuses, but I was able to still check in and go see teachers on all campuses. You can see the hours spent there planning, checking in, completing walkthroughs, being able to co-teach with the teacher. And then I spent a lot of time modeling Cambium, which is the STAR platform. So I think that was really helpful for kids to spend more time on the platform before STAR. So I'm excited that professional development will start soon for the summer. I have some sessions where teachers can come and collaborate with teachers at other campuses, but within the same grade level. Dr. Hope and I have Wendy LaRocca coming at the end of July. She wrote Patterns of Wonder, Patterns of Power, and a new book, Patterns of Revision. So we're super excited to have an author here. And then I will, of course, continue Foundations Integrity, because that's our big focus in K2. My last slide talks about the 3 queuing system, which is a part of House Bill 1605. Back in beginning of the school year, this education code went into effect. where it prohibits 3Qing system, which is a strategy that has been used in the past when a student gets to where they don't know how to read. There was some instruction where kids would guess based on the picture, beginning sounds, context clues, things like that. But now teachers know that we instruct students to decode words first and not use the 3Qing. So we're using decodable text a lot more with our younger grades. I've made sure all teachers are aware of the changes through summer PD, district PD at the beginning of the year, and then grade level meetings throughout the school year as well.
Okay.
Can we stop for a
Yes.
question? Go ahead.
Before we run on through there, are the teachers that took the online version of the Reading Academy going to have to repeat the entire thing, part of it?
So if they have the Reading Academy certificate, they are complete. They do not have to go back and do an in-person. So their online modules were their credit for the Reading Academy.
Okay, did they give any reason for why it's going to strictly in person?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask a really dumb question. The $3,000, does the district pay for that, or is the teacher responsible for that?
That is a district payment, and that is set by the state. That was not set by the service center.
Right, okay.
That's an unfunded mandate.
Yes, ma'am. She said it well.
Wasn't as dumb a question as I thought then.
Not a dumb question.
Do y'all have other
If there
questions so
were
far?
dumb questions, that would be one.
No. Okay, for social studies, currently our elementary, we use Studies Weekly, and we've continued to purchase that for our for elementary social studies. We focus a lot on cross-curricular opportunities, so a lot of reading and writing about social studies. In secondary, our physical textbooks are McGraw-Hill. We no longer have the online resources for McGraw-Hill, and so we have purchased Lohman resources, and then we also use the TEACS resource system. Lohman resources are, it is an online program, and we purchased it for the first time last spring in order to help our 8th grade social studies get ready for STAR. After we used it in the spring, I spoke to the 8th grade teachers that used it. They really liked it, and it was a great supplemental resource, and so we purchased it for all secondary social studies for this school year. Campuses that used Lohman for the first semester demonstrated growth on the fall benchmark compared to last year's fall benchmark. And so after the benchmark, I provided some training to all 8th grade teachers just to make sure that everyone understood how to use Lohman and how important it was and the resource that it was. And then also in March, I trained the IFs and the principals just so that everybody was on the same page. Teachers who used Lohman for the second semester, they had the highest spring benchmark passing percentages in the district. And so for our 10-day STAR review, all 8th grade teachers were required to use the Lohman resources. And the resources have PowerPoints already created for teachers. They have interactive things for students to do. They have paper pencil things for students to do, lots of projects. And so even the teachers who had been using Lohman were able to go back and use different resources within Lohman to do STAR review. Some teacher supports that we have continued to do, providing materials, data analysis. I've attended PLCs on middle school campuses, and then also classroom walkthroughs. These are our high school social studies courses, and I know when we talked about Proclamation 2024, there were some questions about personal financial literacy and economics and the difference between our regular economics, so I just wanted to take a minute to explain the differences. Our regular economics course focuses on microeconomics. This is like business and free enterprise. I always think about it like supply and demand. Personal financial literacy and economics focuses on the person and their finances. So budgeting, investing, saving, building credit, those type of things.
in personal financial literacy and economics, they do touch on microeconomics and macroeconomics, but it just doesn't go into depth. And then our AP is macroeconomics, and that is more of the country economics, like unemployment and inflation, things like that. And each one of them touch on the others, but regular economics goes in depth on microeconomics, and then personal financial literacy and economics focuses mainly on the personal finances. Make sense? Okay.
Very well explained.
During Proclamation 2024, the only social studies course that was up for readoption or for adoption was the personal financial literacy and economics. It's a fairly new course. Our committee chose Savvis Learning. One of the main reasons is that it had a great online resource for students and for teachers, and it also had cross-curricular activities that were already built in. So, do you have questions for us? We have a lot of information.
So even though they're both economics courses, they're left-hand, right-hand, up,
Yes, ma'am.
down.
Well,
Different.
It's very different, yes. In personal financial literacy and economics, you're going to spend the majority of your time things that we, as just citizens, deal with our finances. Budgeting, working, saving, investing. In regular economics, it is the business side. So it's about 75% of the time they teach the microeconomics, and then there is time that they touch on personal financial literacy, but they're not going to spend the majority of their time on it.
So.
Very, very different.
Very different.
They intertwine, but they're very different.
So for most of our students, unless they're going to major in economics in college, personal and financial is much more helpful to them, right?
That is,
What is economics a requirement?
economics is a requirement, but the personal financial literacy and economics counts as their economic requirement. It is going to be, in my opinion, it is very useful for all students to have that time in personal financial literacy and economics, but there's a lot of children who their goal is to be a business owner, so going into microeconomics is important.
And historically, regular economics has been the requirement.
Yes.
So this is a new option.
This is a new option. This is a new option.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, personal financial, whatever all the words are. There was nothing like that. I mean, there was economics. You had Miss Brister for economics, and you had Miss Clifton for government.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the end of it. So
This
looks like
just-
to me that newer course is much more
It gives our
relevant
students
to our kids.
It gives our students options. So we are offering it on all 3 campuses, and we have, and all four high school campuses, I'm sorry. Woodson offers it as well. But so all students have the opportunity to take it if that's what they choose.
Really quick on this, social studies, what's the requirement to be a HQIM? High quality. What is and isn't?
Okay, so in social studies or in anything?
Well,
So
your
in
area. Let's just do social studies.
TEA, well, right now we don't have an HQIM for social studies that has been designated from TEA. And
Okay,
so
so then
they go
something
through, do you want to, do one of y'all? Okay.
Okay.
You want me to?
Oh.
Well, and I can say something about elementary RLA. TEA has created rubrics, and they are having teachers critique curriculum based on the rubric so that they can offer and say these items are HQIM. For elementary RLA is the big focus. I believe they're doing it with math as well. Oh, yes, true. We have math because
So we're working on our RLA.
Yes, in math, Eureka and Carnegie are both HQIM, and we use Eureka in elementary and then Carnegie in middle school.
Mhm.
So those have already been designated HQIM.
So they're just designated on a list that
Yes.
you choose from. Okay.
And it's safe to say TEA has gotten much more involved in curriculum than in the past.
Yes.
I've got a question. So what are we doing this year that's different from, let's say, last year or in the past to increase student achievement? From what's been presented, like what you just presented, what that was presented is different this year than last year?
So one of the things that is different with social studies is we did purchase the Loman resources. We saw some teacher buy-in last spring, and so we purchased it for this entire school year. So that is a little bit different. A lot of what we as a team have done differently is we make it a priority to be in the classroom and to support the teachers. And we've always, as a curriculum team, have done that, but that has been a very big push this year. It is not uncommon if you come to our area for nobody to be there because we're on campuses. And we spend as much time as we possibly can in the classroom with teachers, supporting them, whether it be co-teaching or just modeling or even asking questions. How can I help you? So I feel like that we have done a better job this year because it has been a big push, but hopefully we'll see that on our...
Oh, good answer. Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, well, thank y'all very much.
Thank y'all.
All right, we'll move to item C, our budget workshop with Dr. Joseph Waldron.
Thank you, Mr. Zeller, Dr. Kuhn, members of the board. Appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you again to talk about the planning of the 2025 budget. Jennifer and I, in a large collaborative process, have been working pretty hard to get to right where we are today. And I'm going to go through a few slides covering both this fiscal year and next fiscal year. So at a glance, this is the basis, the foundation of providing all these resources that we possibly can for the mission of our district to equip learners for their brightest future. So today we're at the bottom. It's kind of hard to see, but it just happens to be how the slides are divided. We're at the bottom there in May. So on that timeline, which we went over earlier in the spring, we have completed all the budget collaborative meetings with, I wrote it down, all 52 budget owners who maintain 90 different budgets. That 10 meeting process completed, and it was quite fruitful. I don't have time to explain a lot about that, but it was awesome. A significant change to our past practice to get people in the room together to talk about best practices with spending their budgets. You actually heard a little bit of it in the presentation right before mine, where you had members of our curriculum department talking about results of a resource, not just whether or not people liked it or not, because that's important too, because they got to use it for it to have results, but that they saw the highest benchmark scores from teachers who used a resource. That's a return. So we had that conversation over and over and over again with our budget owners, because as you know, I'm going to stand up here and give you a little bit of a Johnny Raincloud kind of story about how money's tight. So we have to use our money in the best possible way possible and get the best return we can. So on the screen now is the current year's budget, what you adopted last August. It represents a almost $2.7 million deficit budget. There are some metrics in your board packet today about how the budget's doing in your monthly financial statements through 2 months ago, which, standing up here, that's March. And our budget this year is on track. It's doing just fine. But it's always good to know where we came from. This circle graph is in here to prove, not to prove a point, but to kind of put the tree topper on top of the Christmas tree. You can see that the biggest chunk of the pie that we spend money on is instruction. And that's purposeful. This pie chart is about segments of our budget, not necessarily about payroll or supplies or professional development or that kind of thing. That's coming in a second. But this is just the general things. The next biggest chunk of the pie is plant maintenance and operations. That's utilities and taking care of the millions and millions and millions of dollars in multiple facilities that we have in order to keep them safe, secure, brightly lit, comfortable, that kind of stuff. So this pie chart always intrigues me because every little piece of the pie makes the whole, obviously, but without every single piece of this, we can't do what we do. So this tells a story. This same slide was in the budget presentation about this time last year. It's a little different this year. The first two, the first one's the same. It's not exactly the same, but it tells the same story. We budgeted pretty conservatively on investment income, but we're crushing it, generally speaking, in this area. In the middle is the state revenue. So you're going to see in a second a story about ADA, which drives state revenue. Well, this particular picture, the column in red, is only at the same height as the budget because of an influx in special ed students. And I say only, that's a little too strong language. Multiple reasons, but the main one is special ed students. You understand that school funding has individual little allotments that might have to do with dyslexia or bilingual education or state compensatory education and things like special ed, CTE. Each one of those students, when they come to us and the programs they participate in, they earn a little bit more money than a student who's not in that program. And they have all different weights. Well, when special ed's weighted in based on certain services, pretty high. So when you have a lot more special ed students, you end up with $300,000 more than we budgeted for special ed. So that helps the whole budget and keeps those two lines similar. And then the one on the right tells a story that we have no power to defend. And that's that the federal government gave the state of Texas a big old slap on the hand saying, you calculated the Medicaid or SHARS reimbursement program, you've calculated those reimbursement rates incorrectly. So our reimbursement rate got dropped significantly. So we're not even going to get to the total budget performance for SHARS this year. And to give you an idea, I never moved the SHARS budget number from $1.8 million in any year that I've been your CFO. But in each year, we've outperformed it. Well, we were expecting before the federal ruling to get reimbursed just over $4 million, and you can see what the number in red is now. That's how significant the change was.
That was a statewide. All school
Statewide,
districts.
the federal government said nope, and the state of Texas had to do it. So it's a bunch of federal money coming into the state to the most neediest population. Well, I guess that's debatable, but a very needy population in our school district who we serve every day. And we were getting reimbursed through a federal program, essentially a part of Medicaid, to serve those kids. And they reduced that money like that. And lots of districts are fighting it. We put our name in the hat to fight it, but that's going absolutely nowhere.
Joe,
Sir.
I think the key word is reimbursed, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
We spend the money.
We didn't get reimbursed. Fully.
Correct. It's behind by a little more than a year, the reimbursement.
Was there any reason given for that?
Yeah, it's a particular thing that's a little complicated, but it's called a random moment in time study. And the federal government said we did that wrong. Or as a state, the methodology we use is incorrect. So they, across the board, reduced the reimbursement rate by, for us, it was like 40%. And that percentage gets, I'm getting into it gets shrunk even more through their process.
I guess we could contact our state legislators.
You
to
absolutely can.
Get some of that surplus back and have the state make it up.
Colkhorst is a name you might want to know. You guys know that I've fought SHARS twice and won. And I say it was us. I mean, you authorized me to fight them with some attorneys and stuff because we didn't agree with the way they were reimbursing us. The two other times I don't remember the exact dates off my top of my head, but we won those twice. One of those arguments actually benefited the whole state because we fought and won. I don't think we're winning this till the legislative session gets going, and if this gains some ground to fight back against the U.S. government. But I'm not sure that's very likely.
Was Texas the only state to get slapped on the hand and told you did it wrong?
I don't know for a fact, but I don't know. Sorry, I do know about Texas. So, interesting piece of our revenue that is just depleted. We didn't know until after you all approved the budget. So this chart is pretty great because you can see what we're doing in red and what we budgeted as 100% and where we're at. These numbers are also in your monthly financials here and there. So it tells a story. Essentially, I want to point out just one little piece because it's been a hot topic of conversation as I've talked to you about construction or capital improvements. At this point in our current budget performance, we have budgeted a few big projects. I've told you in board note about the Abilene High Kitchens. We're going to see in June a project at Jefferson because our technology is located there to make sure that stuff can be delivered and moved and parked and all that stuff at Jefferson. We have a couple more things, including Hartford is the former Reagan, and it is got HVAC units that are aging, 19, 20 years old. So there'll be some HVAC projects that you'll see. All those are within the budget that we currently have. So I know we spend time, and tonight spend a significant amount of time talking about compensation, but another huge piece, that other big blue piece of our budget, is taking care of our facilities. And we're doing a very good job at that. A very good job of maintaining facilities with budgeted funds, even in kind of a penny pinching market. So as we look forward to 25, this is the story that seems to never end. I'm sorry to say that, but it's true. A little bit more about ADA. So the top line that's right above the actual graph that says our planning estimate was 13,300 ADA. That's because in Jen Hines and I's world, we have to plug in a number for what we think our attendance and related to student enrollment will be. That's ADA. And we always guess at that. And I'm going to show you some numbers of how terrible we are guessing at that in just a second.
Just this year.
Every year, it's been the same story. We're optimistic. So this tells the story. So if you look at the left side, the planning estimate was 14,001 for last year's budget. And you can see that the ADAs by 6 weeks. We were never there and dropped during the year as you go down that. So we started at 13.8, still below the planning estimate, and landed significantly below, losing about 588 during the year. And then 24, what we're currently doing, you can see we've planned on 13.3 and almost got there in the first 6 weeks, but dropped during the course of the year. And it's quite possible the 6 weeks is an estimate because it's May. It's got to be. So it's a story that just never stops. So planning for next year, that's what's in the blue. We're using a mathematical formula to use 12.3 to be in the ballpark of what we're going to use to generate a revenue number for the budget. And it won't be awesome. It just won't. Any questions about that? Because that's a pretty big deal right there. This is the story of property value. I imagine property value will be in the whole interim call thing that's happening in the legislature right now. Who knows where this goes in January through May in 25. But right now, these are the preliminary numbers in that's 6.3 billion. That's the preliminary number we got from the Taylor County, and that's on this, it is on this graph. It represents a little bit of an increase, but the review process or the people appealing their rate has started. And that's on this next slide. This snapshot was taken in order to get the board book into you guys. So that was several days ago. Today, that yellow box is 2.31%, or at least it was at noon. It constantly is changing. This is a pretty cool tool that the Taylor County CAD has put up, so you can see how much property value is under review. If you can almost be assured that if it's under review, it's going to go down. Some people are going to not win their appeal at all, and all that property value comes back to us, but most people get something, I think.
Hey, Joe.
Sir?
Didn't we learn last year that the numbers of reviews had like tripled or something like that compared to like 2 years prior or something?
Yes, last year had unprecedented numbers, and our CAD office did an incredible job of getting done. They have to get done by a certain date, or within, I think it's 10%, within 10% of zero. So they have to get 90% of the reviews done by a certain date, and it was amazing. But yes, it was unprecedented. The numbers are not quite like that
Yet. Yeah.
but most everybody got their notice, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, we did. Yep.
So there you have that. Just a couple more things. This is a slide we keep in here, and it's got some head scratchers on it that I really do want you to, consider. Especially at the bottom. Shrinking operational footprint. Every budget meeting we had talked about this. Because in Abilene ISD, in order to be responsible to the people that we employ, I think we need to operate the right number of facilities also. It allows us to be as efficient as we can, get the best return on our investment. A really creative idea that I don't know if you're up for or if we're up for it. The conversation is just in the baby stage, but I'm about to say it publicly, so that's a little scary, but it's about to happen. I'm going to say it. Our fiscal year starts September 1st, and there are a lot of school districts that start September 1st, but there's one other option. That other option is to start our fiscal year July 1st. In the year that you do that as a school district, you don't operate the last 2 months of the budget you planned. So your 12-month budget becomes a 10-month budget. Now it's not that, I'm simplifying for this conversation. There are advantages and disadvantages to this conversation, but I think it's something that internally we're going to talk about, and we may end up talking about it more as a governing body. We'll just leave that right there. What questions do you have for me before we get into the action items? Because I don't need to sit down, I guess.
Thought you were gonna say, and here's the other shoe.
Not yet. No, I'm good. We're good.
Can you go back?
Sure.
I'm not going to let you off the hook.
Don't.
Number 8.
Number 8.
Shrinking operational footprint.
Yes, sir.
What all does that mean?
Well, it really can mean anything, and I would imagine there'd be a committee or a group of people that would end up hammering this out because the options are wildly complex. But generally speaking, it means that as our student body shrunk, the number of facilities we operate that are not at their highest efficiency or 75% of their occupancy.
Which we've looked at.
Because there are so many of those, that means that we can consolidate down the number of instructional facilities we operate. It also means the ones that are vacant or almost vacant, like the conversation we're about to have in the action items, is pretty important for us. It stretches our facilities department beyond taking care of where kids are, because we're taking care of where kids aren't, in order to either keep the grass mowed or keep the building secure. Insurance. Utilities are certainly a part of it. So shrinking down to what we actually, it's kind of like having a bunch of rental properties that are vacant. Would you ever do that? So maybe that's not the best analogy, but that's what I mean by that. I think it's the most responsible thing we could do with taxpayer funds, is to operate as efficiently as we can.
And then item 5, ESSER funds. ESSER 3, we know is gone. And so just in the 30,000-foot view, kind of remind us where we've been and what we've been trying to do and where we're going to land starting in August?
Yes, sir.
What positions are we keeping that we added? You know, I know that's probably another time, but.
So I'm not sure I can get quite to that level of detail.
That's
So
fine.
let me start where we started.
That's fine. Yeah.
So about 3 years ago, it was very clear that the strategy that AISD used to, we used ESSER money in multiple ways in order to increase student achievement, or why is the concept leaving my brain? Learning loss. You think I'd know that right off the top of my head?
Then you've had some.
But we strategized using various things in order to attack learning loss. And some
Yeah.
of that was knowing we would have a staff that allowed us to meet needs of students where they were. And some of those staff were instructional and some of them weren't. At that time, we knew that we had anywhere between, it was between 19 and $20 million to absorb when we got to the August of this summer. August of 24, when ESSER was done. So over the course of the last few years, we have shrunk our staff incrementally to get to where we are now. So that $20 million is down to seven and a half. And that has to be absorbed into the general. We have no choice in some way, shape, or form. So that's the bookends. I think we're going to get there. Great question.
Back to the shrinking operation footprint.
Yes, sir.
Kind of paint us a picture of what time frame you're looking at there. Are you talking about the 24, 25? Are you talking about a 5-year plan? Or
That's an excellent.
what I'm looking at here, that needs to be done.
Yes, sir.
Yesterday.
So I totally agree with your general statement there. It needs to be done. I think it takes a lot of planning to do it well. There's attendance zones. There's all kinds of logistics that go into adjusting. I think that there will be a move to make in 25, 26 that may involve multiple steps. And it may not be able to be done in one school year, all the steps that are identified. I could truly see this being maybe not a 5-year plan, but a 3-year one, instead of just do it one time. But when we get down to having the conversation, Dr. Kuhn and I haven't even really gotten into this just yet. And there's no substantial conversation that started except it's an identified need. So whether we rip the whole Band-Aid off and get after it, there's enough time to do that. Or whether it's a 2-year process, or I don't see it being beyond 2 years. Especially if we get to August 18th and our enrollment follows a trend that the last few years have seen. And I don't like predicting things like that. I really don't. But I see our district continuing to, I'm sorry, I almost said like a not appropriate thing to say, to kick butt, like to really get after it.
But the thing is, we can thrive and not be a 20,000 person student district. We can still thrive.
Absolutely.
And if it's a new normal for a few years, then we still have a duty to serve the students that we have in a quality way. But so, to be disappointed, yes, but heading down into the dugout with our heads down, no. So, it's just a different way to look at things.
Right.
Appreciate your input. I do have a question on a couple of the projects that were kind of put on hold, but would they fall into the lines of keeping facilities up to date? Is our Cooper front door and the warehouse?
Yeah, those are
Where
still.
are those falling since we did kind of have them on a list?
Yeah, they're firmly on hold. It's hard to make a decision about that kind of investment.
Okay.
but certainly willing to have the conversation and input. But you're exactly right. There were, I don't think that's it. I think there's one more that was in the approved projects
No, I think that's it.
to consider.
I had two that we didn't get to. So one other thing that I would like to see is, as I roll out, but the new folks come on, is 2 years ago, we had an investment in a census, and I've just had a learning loss, Joe.
Demographer?
There you go, thank you. The demographer study that we used and we put together when we were looking at intermediate schools. And I'd like to still keep that in front of us and the board that will move forward as far as what that was. You know, the numbers are only good as what really is happening. But I'd still like to have that, because we're 2 years in from that being done, maybe close to 3.
It's 2, and yes, sir, I imagine a demographer will walk hand in hand in our journey once we start having instead of a fuzzy picture, a more focused picture. And they'll help us design attendance zones and things like that.
Did you guys use Zonda?
Yes.
Is there any, additional security funds or anything like that out there that maybe would be applicable to Cooper High School with that entry vestibule?
So the answer to the first part of your question is yes. So part of the legislative action was to change the school safety allotment to $1 a kid and $15,000 per campus. For us, that's still not enough money to pay for our SRO program, but it represents a slight increase. I think safety and security might be part of the next legislative session. But there are also, there was $1.1 billion allocated in grant programs for school safety through the last legislative session. Abilene ISD in cycle 1 of that didn't qualify because we had met the minimum safety standards, or were going to. We had contracted work with the ballistic film that qualified us. So that grant money we weren't eligible for. And then the second half of that $1.1 billion, we were given just over $400,000 to use for allowable costs in what's called cycle 2 of that grant. We're currently in the process of applying for it.
Okay.
But that will not change Cooper. It's not enough money.
Okay.
So Joseph, are
Sir?
we going to wind up with a deficit budget, or are we going to balance the budget?
I think either, it just depends.
Finishing up or moving forward?
Finishing up.
Finishing up, this year we'll end up with, Jennifer and I haven't actually sat down and looked at a projection, but based on the monthly financials, we're in a similar spot as we were last year. So that ended up with the surplus, if you took the capital projects out, was about $4 million. That represents about 2% of our total budget. So I always look at our budget when we're landing the plane at the end. If we're plus or minus 1 to 2%, we've done a pretty decent job of planning and executing our budget. You may disagree with that, but that's kind of we want to land in the middle.
So even the shortfall in the SHARS reimbursement will still come out pretty even?
I believe so. Some of that has to do with the finishing of ESSER, and some of that has to do with investment income, payroll savings throughout the year, and then people's general philosophy of we're buying what we need for our school. There's always stuff left over with, 90 budget owners. There's always some money left over here and there.
So using your land the plane analogy, when we finish out this budget year, is there going to be some fuel in the tank?
I think so. Do you mind if I?
Good.
It's just not.
You guys know Jen, right? Yes, we think so.
Okay.
I was wondering, the SHARS thing, is it gonna be different next year? Will it level
No.
out, or is it just gonna be a new number?
That's the new normal. Until some lawsuit or some legislative action changes that. But really, we found out about the adjustment kind of, I mean, it was like, here comes the news, bam, there you go. There was not a lot of warning.
Any other questions for Jeff?
Excellent questions today.
Very good, thank you.
I'm just gonna stay here.
Okay. All right, so we will now move to business items requiring board action. Item A, this is resolution regarding Fannin Elementary.
Last month, during our regular meeting, this is what you asked me to bring before you today, so here it is. This particular resolution is to initiate the process to sell Fannin Elementary. That's just the part that's in the red box. The city owns the rest of that block, which you heard tonight during public comment a little bit about that. Your resolution clearly states the address of the property and that the resolution authorizes and directs the superintendent or designee to initiate all the process of selling the property. What questions do you have for me?
From the time that this is initiated to the actual accepting bids and making a decision, what is that time?
It will probably be months, not weeks. We have the appraisal process initiated. The appraiser estimated it taking 6 to 8 weeks to examine both properties and to produce an appraisal. The appraisal is pretty important sorry, I'm starting to go too fast. Important for establishing a fair market value. That's an important part of the bid process of establishing a fair market value or minimum bid from that fair market value. As a reference, when we sold Taylor, the bid was on public for 20 days. It doesn't have to be 20 days. It can be a little longer. It can't be shorter, really. But it's advertised. We receive bids when the bid closes. So I would imagine it's 2 to 3 months worth of process. The appraisal is really driving the next step, getting the appraisal from the appraiser.
So in regards to one of the public comments, they were looking to move it till the end of the summer. We will be there anyway, right? Pretty close.
I think that is actually logical, yeah.
And I think what we're deciding tonight is to vote to start the process to sell it, not really a time frame. Is what I'm hearing you.
We
Yeah.
initiate the time frame.
Right.
when we start
Yeah,
this.
you're just starting it.
Yeah, so
What
it's,
does that mean? I mean, we don't have to sell it.
Correct.
You know,
Right.
accept the bids.
I've asked,
Like you just
believe it or
started
not,
with.
glad our attorney's here tonight. I'm glad you're here every night, Mike. I'm glad you're here every night,
he
Mike.
is just awoken.
Well, it starts the process. You look at the language there, and it enlists the services of a licensed appraiser to determine the price, the best price, fair market value.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
To give a group of people to organize, and they'll still have that time they asked for.
True. Putting the bid on the street, there's nothing in the resolution or in your board policy that says once you initiate it, you have to do it by this date. I'm not speaking out of turn, right?
We're not asking for bids.
Evidently, excuse me.
All right. Well, any other questions?
What, again, could you go over that with me one more time? What, this means what? That we're just gonna get appraisal, and then what? I mean, with these properties, we're not asking for bids.
Not yet.
When will that happen?
After the appraisal comes in, a bid package will be put together and reviewed by our legal counsel. We've been working directly with Felicia Steele in Lisa Crass's office. The bid package goes out. We receive bids back. It's competitive, so they're sealed and they're opened on a bid day. Anytime between now and when the bid goes out, I think there are options, but we're just starting the process of selling.
Do you know the timeline of that?
The timeline, I think that's what Dr. Wheat just asked me.
Yes, I'm asking it.
6 to 8 weeks until we get the appraisal back, which would drive, we can't put a bid out without a fair market value from the appraisal. I think it's the most responsible thing we could do is to set a minimum bid that's at fair market value. And since that's unknown, that's the metric we're driving towards. And then once we have that, we can put a bid package out. And then from what I understand, even if the bid package goes out, the school board does not have to accept any or all bids or any one or all, or you don't really necessarily have to do anything until you award the bid.
Or we could decide to
not.
never put it out for bid.
I believe that's true.
Or there's, like in our board policy, there's other options. There's
There
other
are.
options. I'll just leave it at that.
Which they're not before us right now.
Well, we gotta have a market value.
Right.
And then after that, then we'll go forward.
So what you're voting on tonight is to initiate the proceedings for a sale of the property, which would entail getting the appraisal back, putting the bid packet together, putting an advertisement in the newspaper for bids, and then you have to wait a week and put a second advertisement in the newspaper.
Right.
And then after the second advertisement, you have to wait 14 days before the earliest date in which you can open bids. So there's a chunk of time right there. And then you have your bid opening date. You invite bidders to come and be there if they want to. You open those bids, and then the next step would be to bring the bids to this board for a decision on whether to award the bid or not. So that's what you're voting to initiate, is the whole process. But in the intervening time, if you guys wanted to have, we have another regular board meeting during that span, you wanted to change the process or put the brakes on it, that would be entirely your prerogative as a board.
Yes.
Is that right, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You pretty well nailed it.
On the appraisal process, where
Sir.
does asbestos fit into that, like at Fannin, is that?
So there'll be asbestos reports delivered. The appraiser's already asked for them, so we've delivered each report for both properties to him. That is included in the appraisal, the estimated burden of that.
Okay.
I think he's required to disclose it. So we've provided the information so it can be included.
Dr. Wheat, did you have a question?
Just to be clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So tonight we initiated,
Yes, sir.
prior to calling the bid, can that be brought back to the board?
Yes, sir. At any regular meeting, we can, it's your board meeting and your agenda. You can,
What I'm saying is put it on the agenda so that that is there so that we can have that option. Because once we initiate, in the past, they run the process, and then when we get the bid, you come to us.
yes, sir.
That's how we've done it in the past.
I think I understand what you're getting at.
There's no break in between or gap time.
Would you like, I don't imagine by June I would have any information for you.
I
But I'm-
personally would like to do it the way we've always done it.
The way you just described it is like the norm. That's
Yeah,
the norm.
Is what, yes.
But it won't be June.
So you're asking, let me be clear. So you're asking that following any action from these two resolutions, that we run the regular, just like we did with Taylor, appraisal, bid package, put it out, bring something back to the board once we have open bids.
No, that's, yes. The reason I asked that question, there seemed to be some confusion on the board as to slowing that process down and you bringing it back to the board to make a decision somewhere in, board meetings before. But we've never done that in the past. We've always been initiate,
Go.
bring our bids.
That's
where
Up to you.
We just don't have to accept the bids.
Yeah, that's a decision on the end, yes.
That's the one part.
That would be the difference.
Yeah, we don't have to accept the bid.
So, my motion would be, move to approve resolution authorizing the initial proceedings of sale of property commonly known as Fannin Elementary located at 2726 North 18th Street.
Thank you, Dr. Wheat. Is there a second?
Me. I second, sorry.
Ms. Earls? We will not, any discussion? Anyone dare to discuss it? All right. We will now take a roll call vote. Darrell Zeller, yes. Derek Hood?
Yes.
Cindy Earls?
Yes.
Rodney Goodman?
Yes.
Bill Enriquez?
Yes.
Angie Wiley?
Yes.
Danny Wheat?
Yes.
The motion passes 7-0. We will now look at a resolution regarding Woodson Early Childhood Center.
The exact same resolution for this property right here in purple. And right now the resolution is only written for what's in purple. Now, over the last week I actually I took everything off the appraisal district that had Abilene ISD or Abilene Independent School Districts. Were actually listed multiple ways, which made it more complicated. But the parking lot you see on the south end, right below the words North 9th Street, we own that too.
Does the
So,
purple
but that's-
line on top go all the way to North 10th?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, on the picture it does not, but it is the whole block. The parcel is the whole plot. The parking lot we also own. I did not know that until doing that investigation. My board documents were already in. I apologize. At this point,
It's all dirt.
that parking lot's dirt.
Yep.
So at this point, the resolution is only for the parcel that Woodson sits on. There are no portables there anymore.
Yeah, I started to say, as I looked at it, that those buildings that took 5 or 6 years
They're
to
gone.
finally get
They're
hauled
by
off,
Allison's house.
still show on there. And
Yeah,
I'm-
this is just the picture from the GIS.
Okay.
That being said, and I know we've already had action on the Fannin property, but can you go back to the Fannin picture?
Sure.
Because there was a part there that you said, everything in the red. And so
Correct.
the buildings,
To the right, to the east, those are owned by the city.
And that's Mercy
Bill.
Clinic.
That's
Boys
Mercy
Club.
the
Clinic.
gym and the health
so
unit.
it should be green. I know you couldn't probably do green over the buildings, but that's all.
Yeah,
Can we not sell the city's buildings?
we've asked them to buy ours.
All right, I just wanted to thank you.
Yes, sir.
Not to
Go back,
belabor this point.
go back to what's it there?
Yes, sir.
So is it possible in the appraisal, there's been a lot of discussion on the historical value of the original high school. I guess that's the part that fronts North 9th.
Yes, sir. I believe you're correct.
Could an appraisal be done that breaks out the two properties?
We don't, I guess you're a little above my property real estate knowledge level. We own, the parcel's one piece. I'm sure that it's in lots, but it currently is not deeded that way. So
Right,
maybe
for-
Mike can,
For the historical value, if we broke that piece out and we're wanting to sell the rest, could that be done?
I imagine anything can be done, but electrically and how it is run mechanically, I bet it is all very tied together. Like it would be hard to separate the buildings in ownership.
Joe, we know that the brown roofed buildings are gone. That
Yes.
But what about the other portable?
They're all
I
gone.
guess they're portable type buildings. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 little squares and a
Yes,
rectangle.
ma'am, they're all gone.
They're all gone. Okay.
All right, another curveball. Could we ask the appraiser to include or give us also a fair market value of what the property, the parking lot would be?
I'm sure it's just land. So.
Well, what I would recommend, if y'all don't mind, is to do the motion to say some of the effect that the sale of Woodson Early Childhood Center, and all associated properties, which would bring in that parking lot, if you will. Okay? All associated properties with that address at 520 North 9th Street. That gives you a little more comprehensive motion that covers that parking lot, among other things. As far as breaking out the appraisal, I'm sure he could. It's just, it'd probably take him quite a bit of work to do it because of the intricate way that school's built on that property.
Well, they just added a piece to a piece to a piece.
Oh, yeah.
Over
It's
the
all
years.
one piece now.
All right, is there a motion regarding the Woodson Early Childhood Center?
And related properties.
Thank you.
Did somebody do it?
No?
I move to approve the resolution authorizing the initiation of proceedings for the sale of real property commonly known as Woodson Early Childhood Center located at 520 North 9th Street and all associated property. I move.
A motion's been made. Is there a second? I will second. Any discussion? We will now take a roll call vote. Derek Hood?
Yes.
Danny Wheat?
Yes.
Darrell Zeller, yes. Angie Wiley?
Yes.
Cindy Earls?
Yes.
Rodney Goodman?
Yes.
Bill Enriquez?
Yes.
The motion passes 7-0. We will now move to item 9, items covered in closed session. Anything that you want to say, or is it just a motion? That's gonna, okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Is there a motion regarding the deputy superintendent position?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Man, he's in a hurry. I
Mr. Hood is,
I move to accept the superintendent's recommendation to add the position of deputy superintendent to the administrative cabinet.
motion's been made by Mr. Hood. Is there a second?
I second.
Mr. Enriquez has second. Any discussion? All right, we will now take a roll call vote. Danny Wheat?
Yes.
Rodney Goodman?
Yes.
Angie Wiley?
Yes.
Darrell Zeller, yes. Bill Enriquez?
Yes.
Derek Hood?
Yes.
Cindy Earls?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, board.
Welcome. Return to announcements, Dr. Kuhn.
I don't have any more announcements.
Okay. Let's get out of here. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.